Mustard, why'd you put the phone so far away from Stir? How do you expect to be able to hear him? Why would you do that,
This
Mustard?
is all your fault, Mustard.
Just like everything is.
Yeah, this podcast is his fault.
He's frowning. He's so sad.
If you don't like, folks, if you are listening at home and there's anything about this podcast, anything at all that you don't like, it's Mustard's fault.
Yeah, I write the script for each episode.
Yeah.
Right, because he edits together all of the screams and the animal noises.
He even wrote and voice acted what I'm saying right now.
This is an Animorphs Book Club podcast. We're going to read the Animorphs. We did read the Animorphs. We're going to talk about the Animorphs now. We're currently on book 15, The Change. It has a
13.
What did I say?
15.
We only read
No, I
14
didn't.
books.
Yeah, you did.
Well, on book 13, The Change. Tobias is on the front. Look at him.
Look at him.
Okay, now that you've looked at him, let's introduce ourselves. Introductions.
I'm Be Natural.
I'm better.
Kirkbrand.
I'm Mustard.
I'm Stir. Oh, you have your glasses off.
Oh, I do.
I was hoping you wouldn't answer and then no one would know who I'm talking about because we don't have visuals.
Wow, it would be a big, like, ooh, who on the podcast
Ooh,
has
who has
has
glasses?
We now know it, like, reveals at least one person on the podcast has glasses.
Oh no, they'll figure out all our identities.
Yeah.
For the fact that one
At
of
least
us
one
has
of us.
glasses.
Guys,
My name is Jake. I can't tell you my glasses wearing status.
Oh no.
I'm comfortable with
My name is
people knowing my
Tobias. I
real name.
can tell you my glasses wearing status because I'm a hawk and I don't wear glasses because hawks don't wear glasses.
He,
That-
That was a good
he
joke.
does wear
This
a
book does
watch
kinda start
though,
like
and
that.
he
I
doesn't
do wear
wear
a watch.
shoes.
I do wear a watch.
I do wear a watch though. That's right.
My name is Jake. I can't tell you what type of watch I wear. But
This
I'll
was a
show
nice
you.
book to come back to.
I'll show you. It was a nice watch.
This book is a comeback for Applegate because it's good.
Yeah.
I thought the Androlite Chronicles were good.
Yeah, I did.
Oh well.
Should I say was good or were good?
It's a return to form. Maybe.
Was good because it's title.
I really didn't see this as a return to form. I saw this as just like more.
More sci-fi, more like
I just saw this
creatures.
as a good book.
Okay, let's do the summary.
Okay.
All right. Summary.
Wait, do an enthusiastic introduction of the summary.
Ladies and gentlemen, the summary.
Yay!
So the book begins with Tobias out and about. He decides to drop by the school and check out how the other human animorphs are doing. He sees that Rachel has received some kind of award for being an outstanding student. So he asks Rachel if she'd like to go flying with him after school, and she does, and then they flap around. Then they see a Hork-Bajir come out of a secret entrance in the woods, and they see human controllers chasing the Hork-Bajir on motorcycles. So they figure the Hork-Bajir are enemies of the Yeerks, and therefore that they might try to help them. So Tobias leads the Hork-Bajir through the forest while trying to lose the controllers and trying to find a hiding place for the Hork-Bajir. There's a lot of antics, and it's very cool. But they eventually do get one of the Hork-Bajir to the cave, but the other one, who's his wife, is lost. So then they have a meeting with the other Animorphs, during which they tell them all about this. They decide to talk to Jara. The name of the Hork-Bajir who is in the cave is Jara Hami, and he has a wife named Ket Helpak. So they talk to Jara, and Rachel morphs him to try and bait the Yeerks and lead them away. Then suddenly Tobias is teleported, like, away from where he was to having a different view, and he sees that the Yeerks have cornered Ket Helpak, but Tobias saves her by, it doesn't make any sense, but he saves her. So then Tobias is having hallucinations about a nice place for the Hork-Bajir, and he doesn't know where they're coming from. And then, so he's kind of upset about this, because he's like, what the hell is going on? Later, Tobias and Nax are guarding the two Hork-Bajir who are safely in their cave. Well, not so safely, but that's why Tobias and Nax are guarding them at night. Then Tobias hallucinates Taxons coming for them. So then he's like, alright, okay, what's going on? And then the Elemist is like, yeah, you're super important. I'm just using you for this thing. And Tobias is like, okay, fine, if you're gonna use me for this thing, give me these stupid visions, then I want something in exchange. You know what I want. The next morning, the Yeerks show up with the Taxons and the Hork-Bajir and the humans. They really want to get these Hork-Bajir. They really want to kill them because they don't want free Hork-Bajir running around. I don't know if I mentioned these Hork-Bajir are free. I feel like that. I don't know.
There's no yoke inside them.
Yeah, they're, which is not true of any Hork-Bajir ever for many years. So the other Animorphs hatch a plan. to fake the Hork-Bajir's death so that the Yeerks think they're dead and will stop chasing them. But before that happens, Tobias is knocked to the ground and a raccoon starts eating him. And then at that moment, the Elemist gives him, quote, what he wants. And Tobias discovers that he can now morph again. But he's not a human. He's still a hawk, but he's morphing from his hawk form. So he gets back to the group, and he morphs Ket Halpak, and Rachel morphs Jerahimi. And then the two of them lead the Yeerks away, and they jump off of a cliff right in front of the Yeerks. But Marco is in a cave right below the cliff, and he catches them and pulls them into the cave. And then they have the real Jerahimi and Ket Halpak on the ground, and Wolf, Cassie, and Jake pretending to eat them, so that the Yeerks look at that and they're like, oh, they're totally dead. While Jerahimi and Ket Halpak are actually just pretending, and Tobias and Rachel didn't really fall off the cliff. So then, once the Yeerks are gone, they take the Hork-Bajir to that paradise that the Elemist showed Tobias. Then Tobias is hanging around, and then he's suddenly transported into his bedroom, but he's still a hawk, and he sees his human self sitting in his bed, and he realizes that he's been transported back in time to the night before he discovered the Andalite, discovered Prince Elfangor. So he runs over to his human, or he flaps over to his human self, and his human self is just like half asleep, but doesn't realize what's going on, and he acquires his human self, and he tells his human self, go walk home with Jake tomorrow. And then Tobias attends Rachel's award ceremony for being an outstanding student, and he's a human being. The end.
For up to 2 hours at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he can only morph a human now.
Yeah, it's just a morph now. It's not his real form. His real form is still a hawk. And that's the book.
Before we start out, well, I guess I'm gonna start us out by saying so this book is called The Change, and my very first note in this book on chapter 1 is, ooh, I hope Tobias changes.
Well, I guess it's a good title.
I got my wish.
I guess it's a good title.
It's on the cover.
No.
Tobias changes
Tobias
from a
is
hawk.
changing on the cover.
Tobias is morphing from a hawk to a human. It's genius.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it kind of looks the same thing. It kind of looks the same as the cover for book 3.
I think it's pretty genius.
It does, because when I first looked at this cover, I was like, what? They just reused book 3's cover, basically? Well, that's
No.
I thought they would... And then, when I got to the
backwards.
raccoon part, I was like, why didn't they show Tobias morphing from a hawk to a
Because then it would be
raccoon?
obvious what happens in the book.
It would be.
Yeah.
And then, but this cover is an accurate representation of what happens in the book anyway.
Yes,
it's
great.
amazing.
I thought it was great too, because it's like, if you look, I mean, you wouldn't know this if you didn't know how the Animorphs covers works, but this cover is Hawk morphing into human. The book 3 was human morphing into Hawk. And I posted the inside cover to the group chat. So the way the Animorphs inside covers work is that they always have, whatever the morph is, the final morph, they have, the inside cover will have that same morph, like, with the same head, with the same expression, just in a setting. So the morph here is actually human Tobias, not Hawk Tobias, because it's the same face.
Oh, wow.
Oh, and it's human Tobias in a human setting, which is his bedroom.
I like
See, when I
this...
saw that, I just assumed it was like Jake or someone.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay.
I like this photo of Tobias. It looks much nicer than the weird, like, because he's not in some weird, like, pose. Well, every cover, the humans are in some weird pose, and he was just sitting on his bed. It's like, yeah, it's like...
I like how his hair actually looks dirty blonde in this picture, too. Like, it doesn't look brown like on the cover.
I think part of that might just be because of the PDF scans of our books.
Yeah.
His hair still looks blonde to me.
The purple background on this cover is kind of weird, but whatever. I like purple, I guess.
Yeah, then it looks nice.
It's a little odd choice for a hawk morphing into
Yeah,
a
it doesn't really
with a
look like
brown
the
shirt.
sky.
But okay.
Oh, they just mirrored it at the bottom.
Is anyone else?
They did. Oh my gosh, that's so lazy.
Is anyone else
Oh, wow.
intently looking at?
Wow, this is okay. Man, screw this cover. Never mind.
What? No, it gives it like a 3D effect.
No, look, he's standing in front of a lake, and that's
So
the water.
So
Oh,
are
yeah,
you
of
talking
course.
about? Are you
Reflecting
talking
the
about
sky.
the? So are you gonna bring up the second to closest human face?
What about it?
I've just been like staring at his mouth and face. I think it's
No, that
funny.
nose looks weird.
It looks like he's got an inside-out lips.
To me, this I haven't gotten this vibe with any of the other covers, but this one looks like it is like just a time lapse of photoshopping this boy into the hawk at the top.
You're right.
Like, okay, first we gotta like stretch out the arms a bit. We gotta like make them like put in tapes. And
Isn't that what all the covers are?
No, but they didn't give me that vibe like this one does.
Huh.
Okay.
He closes his mouth as he morphs.
I like the colors.
Because hawks go like, see you!
Hawks always have their mouths open.
He goes from not having a mouth to having a mouth.
Oh yeah, because hawks don't have mouths.
And you are
They literally say that in this book, by
They
the
say
way.
that
Hey, in
again,
this
yeah.
book again? I didn't
Yes,
catch that.
they
Well,
do.
it wasn't like I don't have a mouth. It was just like instead of a mouth, I have a beak. Which
Oh,
I
okay.
guess I'm fine with.
Anyway, I was looking at the inside cover. I'm very interested by the stuff he has on the shelf. He has
He's got a basketball,
a
man.
basketball on his shelf,
He's
like
very cool.
inside. He has a framed picture of a cat.
It's dude!
It's dude!
Oh wait, I didn't notice that.
And he has a very mysterious looking book.
Journal
What is
3.
that on the cover?
It's like
It
dark
looks like
magic.
like a burning
happening.
ship or something?
It's like black magic happening.
It looks like some. It looks like a D&D book or something.
I gotta zoom in on this. I
So-
can't.
If we had the actual book, it probably would be better.
I thought Jake was the one who was supposed to be in the basketball.
Yeah.
We
he's
just
right.
we don't really learn a lot about Tobias's interests.
We learned Tobias just gets
Yeah.
beaten up a lot.
as a human because he
His head-
immediately turns into a hawk.
Yeah. Wait, this looks like a hammer and a wrench.
What does?
Yeah.
I could see okay, it kind of makes sense that Tobias has a basketball indoors on his shelf because like it's stated that his like aunt and uncle don't really care about him, so it could be like, oh, here's a basketball.
here's a
This
basketball
this
player.
room looks pretty neat though.
Maybe it's a signed basketball. My dad has one of those. It's not signed by anyone
Wow.
famous. It's just signed by like he coached basketball and his basketball team signed it and it was cute.
Yeah. So book.
Book.
Okay,
Book.
page 3, chapter 1. He says Tobias says most of my close friends are human, so I was wondering, like, I wonder if Ash is the only exception, because it makes it seem like he has several non-human friends. I'm wondering if he, like, made hawk friends.
No, it doesn't.
I was wondering about that at first, but then I remember that Axe existed, and I was like, that wouldn't be in character for him to have hawk friends.
Tobias is Ahab, assigned human at birth.
He is.
Ahab.
Oh yeah, he's cat.
The well dude.
Yeah, the whale dude.
I-
Well,
Oh,
dude.
man.
Sorry, that just popped into my head.
I noticed quite a few inconsistencies that were in this book of stuff that was mentioned in past books.
Uh-oh.
Just very minor stuff. I'll just say, he said there were no red-tailed hawks in the forest he lives in, but like in book 3, like
No,
they
it's
like
just in his territory.
his territory.
His territory. His
His territory
territory.
is
Yeah.
like it's like 100 yards or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't. When numbers show up, I stop paying attention. So.
Wow. Okay.
Okay,
Well,
also, book 3 took
Alright.
place in another part of the woods. They had to hike there.
Mustard thinks that Hulkbajir are like 4'5".
Oh, dude! It kept saying Hulkbajirs or taxons are as big around as redwood trees.
redwood trees are way too big.
Aren't redwood trees like 30 feet across?
Did it say that?
It said it 3 times. Yeah, it's just redwood at least twice.
Oh well, that's wrong.
Yeah, as big around as a redwood tree.
Redwood tree, 10 to 15 feet. Diameter.
I do not imagine taxons are
Taxons are
10
not
feet
that
wide
big.
diameter. They're
Yeah,
like
no,
centipede things.
They wouldn't even fit
That's
in
like-
the shape based in the spaceships.
That's like the length of this room.
Yeah,
15
no, they
feet.
wouldn't
They're
even.
definitely smaller than a car because that tube thing that and iconic. Never mind. I don't feel like explaining that.
I mean, in this book, one of them eats a bobcat, and I didn't imagine their mouth being
Tobias
that
just
big.
doesn't know what red. He means this tiny redwood tree.
No,
Obviously.
I did look this up. There are 3 different types of redwood tree. I keep saying twee. Redwood tree. That's a tongue twister.
no, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Redwood tree.
Redwood
There are 3
tree.
different types of wood trees, and usually people say redwood tree. They're referring to the biggest one, but there are 2 other types.
Sure, science.
So maybe Applegate just outsmarted us. It's
Maybe.
just technical ones.
This is a big brain.
Are they
book.
found in South Carolina?
No, they're only in California, and the smallest type is found in China.
They're only
Okay,
in
well,
California?
okay, Applegate's just
I think
really
so.
dumb.
Okay, so I
Wait,
guess...
what do you mean? He could be.
Look, she didn't have the internet. Okay, maybe she was just mixing
Well,
it up
also-
with like a red pine.
Maybe it
or
was
something.
just a tree that's red, has red wood. Maybe
Did he
it was,
even
maybe it
say
was like
it's
a
as
like
big
a,
around as a redwood tree, which, by the way, is where exists where I
No.
live?
I think redwood trees just
Yeah,
like
redwood trees are pretty well known.
yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't have to.
That's true. It doesn't have to be. What
It's
he
just so
wants.
weird that he said it twice in the book. It's like, oh, they're as big as a redwood tree. Like, no, they're not.
Yeah,
I didn't
That'd be
notice
way
that at
too
all.
big. Tobias.
that would be just unreal. Maybe because he's a little hawk and he's.
Yeah, that was actually another thought I had. That they seem really big to him because he's a tiny little hawk.
All right, I'm going.
But I imagine taxons are like
Human-sized.
6 feet tall.
It doesn't say they're 10 feet long total, including like what's on their on the ground.
Yeah, it always says that they're around 10 feet.
Okay, so they're not 10 feet wide.
Yeah.
It's
They're little rolling
as
polys.
big around, like
They're just
that's
a ball.
ridiculous. They're just a ball.
No, it's actually terrifying.
That would be scary.
It's a
Anyway,
ball.
yeah, let's talk about
maybe
the book.
it's just either a tree with just redwood or Tobias is small, so they seem like redwoods to him. He said like I flapped and glided till I soared over houses, and I was like, wait, is glided the right past tense of glide? Isn't like glued or like
No, it's glided.
I like flued and
Wow.
glued.
I glue.
I flew and
gled.
glued.
I flued. But then I realized, no, I'm wrong. I'm dumb. That's not it at all. I'm really bad with words and really bad at biology. Those are my two terrible suits.
Oh, I noticed. I could be totally wrong. I noticed Tobias knows Axe's full name. I don't remember anyone else like specifically saying it in the books.
What everyone knows.
Tobias
Tobias
says it.
cares about him. Tobias likes Andalite.
Also, Axe says it when a meet.
I know Axe says it, but I don't recall any of the other animals like bothering to write it out.
Yeah, Marco just said what? Acts.
Like in the book when they were narrating, I don't think anyone else like says his full name in the
No,
narration
they
anymore.
definitely knew.
I think so.
They definitely knew.
Well, it stood out to
And
me
they
this
say
time, I guess.
actually short for Aximile as Grathis, though.
Okay.
That's wonderful
They literally
pronunciation
say
there.
I
Are
don't
you
know.
making fun of me?
No, I
No.
loved it actually.
I don't know his name. We have to go now. I'd say Aximili
Axim-
Extval Isthil.
That's close.
Aximilian.
Guys, I think Tobias might be the smartest character in the main cast. Because he
Uh,
doesn't say anything that sounds really dumb like Rachel and Cassie and Marco and Jake do.
See, I love Rachel in this book, but I really hated her in the reaction, so that just solidifies my opinion that the reaction is terrible, and book 12 is terrible, and it's not Rachel's fault, it's just the author's. Because Rachel was great in this book. I love their...
Well, it's just of course,
Once again-
Rachel could in the book that Tobias writes. He likes Rachel.
Yeah, once again,
Of
Rachel...
course, Rachel's bad in the book that Rachel writes. She hates herself.
Oh. Once again, Rachel and Tobias are good together in this, at least in this book.
Okay, in this book, Tobias actually admits that he has a crush on Rachel, and I'm freaking
He does?
out.
Wait,
yeah,
what?
he does.
What? Oh, I didn't know. It was,
He's like, I know it's kind of weird because like Hawk, human, you know.
Oh yeah.
It's like Romeo and
I'm like,
Juliet.
Twice, it's not that bad.
And Tobias.
You can love her when you're hot.
Anyway, Tobias, I actually he said a lot of stuff that I thought was really clever or just like good, like fast thinking.
Yeah.
Like he was like, man, this is like a really bad chess game where the other player has all the pieces, and I was like, man, he's thinking about chess at a time like this. He must be like high IQ to think about chess.
Tobias just doesn't have a lot... Tobias just flies around thinking all day.
Well, yeah, because if Marco said it, he'd say like, man, this is like a video game with the hardest difficulty. But
Yeah,
here Tobias
I
is
was-
talking about chess.
Oh yeah, you know Tobias is smart because he talks about chess. in video games.
Well, all Marco ever says is video games and pop music.
This is like Baywatch. This is like trying to not
This is like
stare
if
at
it
the
was
lifeguards
Baywatch.
in Baywatch. That's how hard it is.
I had a lot of fun reading this book
I did too.
because of him.
Because of who?
Tobias. He made the book a lot better.
I like that this book, it had, there were like, the other animals were barely in it. There was no
Yeah.
stupid
That's
animals
true.
getting in the way. It was Tobias.
There was no stupid cover blowing antics at the beginning at all. Like I was like waiting for Tobias to see like
Yes,
a
there was no
whale,
antics.
to see like a whale in danger and decide to like try and lift it out of the sea and get it to the hospital. But it didn't.
Oh,
but it didn't happen.
By the way, three of us said this was our favorite book so far.
I mean, it's definitely at my top.
It's in my top 2, but it doesn't beat the Andalite Chronicles.
It doesn't beat. Still, nothing's beaten book 2 on my end.
I'm
And
putting
it
it.
might just be
I'm
like
putting
prejudice.
it with the Alien though. It's the second.
This is my favorite book.
I'm putting
And
this
it's a
above
better-
Andalite Chronicles.
I think it's a better book than the Andalite Chronicles, but the Andalite Chronicles, like the first 2/3 of it, are better than this, but the last third of the Andalite Chronicles are not good in my
See,
opinion.
I really
so-
like the third of the Andalite Chronicles.
All right, we're not talking about the Andalite Chronicles.
I think I wanna-
Okay.
I think I wanna-
Except
There's
in
no
comparison.
there's no Elfangor in this book, okay, guys? Let's
Except
get
in
back on
comparison to this
topic.
book, well, there's
is.
his sperm.
What?
What?
Oh, Tobias.
Oh.
No longer hood is okay.
Oh yeah.
Kurger
Oh,
being-
I forgot about that.
Kurger being Tobias' Elfangor's son.
Wait, so Tobias's DNA that he gets from his dad is just a mix of some random people's DNA.
Yeah, it
Yes.
is.
That's so cool.
I didn't remember Elfangor specifically creating a morph from random people's DNA. Like I didn't remember that the first time, so I was like,
this is not that book.
before I read the Andalite Chronicles,
Yeah,
I was
but it's
thinking,
Tobias.
I was
We're
thinking
talking
like,
about Alfingor's sperm.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
If we were,
this is cool.
before I read the Andalite Chronicles, I was thinking like,
important.
if Tobias did a DNA test, we just connected this random dude who has no idea who he is and how that happened. It's like, I'm gay.
Oh yeah.
What do you guys think about Marco saying a bunch of horrible stuff and then Cassie
Okay.
just threw a snake at him?
Dude,
I
I love
thought that was
part.
great, but that's why I wrote F you, Marco.
Yeah, I
in the
thought,
screen
I
too.
thought,
I was sad
I was
when you
like,
wrote
oh no,
that.
what did, I was like, as soon as I read that, I was like, what did Marco do to Tobias? But then I got to the part where he was like, oh, do work with your ladies hate bugs? And I
Okay.
was like,
Because
oh,
you're
okay.
women
Hang on,
with
that's
lipstick.
pretty far ahead. I haven't noticed before that.
What?
I do too.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff.
Oh,
Oh,
you're
bunch of
right.
stuff happened
That's
before
chapter
that.
6,
Listen,
right?
it
Okay.
naturally came up.
No, I just read that because I'm ahead.
I'll
that's
get to
all.
that because I have stuff to say about that part. So let's get to that later.
Okay.
It mentions the reporter and policeman we know about. Didn't like the policeman they know about die?
What?
This
In, like,
was a
book
police
one?
woman, wasn't it?
How do you know so much about the continuity of the series? I forget
Hold on,
half the
wasn't
stuff
this-
that
didn't they
happens.
What the heck, Mustard? I think we're
Wait a minute,
forgetful
no,
about
they're
everything.
talking, I think they're talking, first of all, they said police woman, didn't they? Not policeman?
Hold up, where are we right now?
Page 8. Oh, they did say policewoman.
So that's, first of all, it's not the same one, because it's a woman, and the other one was a
Okay.
man, unless he had a nice, unless he had like a, she discovered something about herself.
Well, he's dead, so it's not the same person. 'Cause
Yeah.
Rachel
She
killed
discovered
him.
that she was alive and a woman.
Yeah.
to discover, man.
So you complain about us skipping over things, but then you just skip 5 pages, dude.
I just went to my first notes. I assumed you guys didn't want to talk about the exposition because wasn't it really boring in this book?
No, I was gonna say I liked it because
It was Tobias.
Yeah.
no. Well, yeah. See, the exposition is that Tobias is flying around the school, and then he introduces the rest of the characters not through some boring meeting like they always do, but he's like, oh, and I flew by Marco's classroom. Oh, Marco's the silly one. He makes a lot of jokes and he likes attention. Oh, and then I flew by Jake's classroom. Jake's the serious one. And, like, we saw the other Animorphs, how they are when they're not around the other Animorphs. Like,
Yeah.
we saw, like, what they do when they're just in class.
Yeah,
Tobias never gets to see him like that.
this exposition was completely seamless.
It was seamless, yeah.
I didn't even notice it was exposition.
Me neither. I assumed the exposition was some other part that I just forgot about because it was boring. So yeah,
It wasn't boring,
This
no.
exposition wasn't boring. That's good.
I just didn't know what it was. You need to say hello. Let me explain the characters for you. But it was great here.
I learned a lot about Tobias' character in these first few chapters that I'd kind of forgotten because he doesn't get to narrate.
Man, I missed
He only gets to
Tobias.
narrate once every 10
He's right
books.
here with us.
I
Mustard.
missed him narrating for 10 books.
So
More than that, they were like side books too. It was 12 books, man.
That sucks.
I didn't like it.
well, okay, I don't think we could say we are sad Tobias didn't narrate
Guys,
the
there's been
Andalite
like 3
Chronicles.
There's been like 4 Rachel books.
There's been 2,
What?
3. There's been 3.
3,
Okay,
yeah,
that's
it's a
my first
lot.
one.
But Megamorphs 1 had like a lot of Rachel in it, so I guess you might say it's a Rachel book, kind
Yeah,
of.
Tobias had what? 2 chapters? 5?
Yeah, that's a
No,
Rachel
and-
book, dude. That whole book revolved around Rachel.
And none of it mattered.
The next one of the Megamorphs books better be like mainly Tobias.
Better be Mega Tobias.
Mega Tobias.
Mega Tobias. See, Tobias gets really, really big.
It's the stock episode
And
where
then he just
Tobias
starts walking
to
around
grow.
and destroying
It's
everything.
just the stock plot. Tobias gets very big. The Yurks and the Animorphs have to team up to take him down.
Yokes can't get in my head if they can't reach my head.
they need to get like a couple dozen Yurks to wrap around all the different creases in his brain.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really funny if they suddenly brought up like, oh yeah, all the animals can just grow really big whenever they want. They just never brought it
It's
up.
just part of the morphing power.
It just never seemed helpful.
Actually says, oh, what you didn't know about that? It was important.
The Animorphs just have to like pour a bucket of Yurks into his ear. And all the Yurks have to work together to take him down. And at the end, Tobias is like, oh man, I'm sorry, guys. I guess I just got too caught up in, the big things.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
I forgot about what really matters,
Anyway, that's not Animorphs.
You don't know. Maybe that could happen.
It could happen.
Tobias is flying around.
I learned a lot about Tobias' character from the first 2 chapters. Like I said that before we went off on that tangent. The way he talks and the way he describes other people is just, it reveals a lot about him that I kind of forgot since book 3. He says, well, while you and the others have been off saving the world, I've been busy too.
Have we brought up what he's been doing? I don't think he said it in the
He's just been flying around, spying on people and like finding out things about the Yerks.
He's been looking for Yerk. He's been going Yerk pool hunting.
Yeah,
Looking for Yerk pool entrances. And he's like, Tobias, everyone else is like, Tobias does so much for us. He's constantly spying. He's spending like he's full-time Animorph. I
like how he describes Cassie right here. He says, like, some gentle soldier in the service of nature itself. Corny, isn't it? Sorry, but I have a lot of time to think. And I guess that makes me get too serious sometimes.
Aww. Yeah, I like the...
I was like, yeah, that was corny. Oh, what he pointed out. It's okay.
I like the...
Well, hey, you're the one who always says lampshading is bad. It's good when Tobias does it.
No,
yes.
but he justifies a bit more because he's like, well, sorry, I said something kind of dumb, but like, I think things I can only think.
Okay.
He does sit around thinking a lot.
So he has a reason for doing it. It's not just like, oh, I know I'm doing that, but I want
I mean,
to.
Rachel says it was a dark and stormy light. Sorry, I always wanted to say that.
Yeah, that's a good reason. She always wanted to. Anyway.
And
So when Tobias says... Tobias is kind of resentful of the fact that others are apparent... Like, he seems to think that others do more than he does. Which I can totally understand, because, like, he never really puts his life in danger like the others do. And then Rachel says something like... Rachel says, Tobias, just because you can't come along on every single mission doesn't mean you need to do extra work. And then Tobias says, yeah, well, whatever. He just shakes that off. He doesn't really want to talk about that. He's just like, that's just what I do. I'm not changing it, and I don't want to have to justify it. It's just natural for me to do this. And the book also explained very well, I'll find it now, why Tobias seems really, really into the fight. As in, not like Rachel likes fighting and all, but he's very, very motivated. And he was from the beginning. He was from the beginning. He's very, very motivated to win and to fight for humanity and freedom.
Yeah, it kind of seems like Tobias is different from Rachel and Cassie in this way because he cares mostly just about like the end goals and not, well, I guess so. Like Rachel cares a lot about the means. Like she's like, yeah, let's go. I like fighting. And then Cassie's like, oh, I want to be the hero. But Tobias, he like cares about.
Yeah.
He does this stuff that's not so glorious. He's the one who always looks out and is like, okay, guys, we're clear. Nobody's spying on us. And he's like, oh, he does the boring stuff of, oh, well, look, I think there's a Yerk pool entrance down there. So yeah.
He says, the Yerk pool was where I lost my humanity, where I passed the fateful 2-hour time limit. Someday, somehow, we will destroy that place, but first we have to understand it better. That's what I was doing. That's why I spent my days trying to discover every possible way in and out of it. I thought, like, that's an interesting insight. Like, he has a connection to the Yerk pool that the others don't have, and he's especially motivated to want to destroy it.
It seems like he's making more progress than any of the
But
Animorphs.
his motivation doesn't make him do stupid things. That's also the difference. His
Yes.
motivation makes him cold and calculating, and
Man, Tobias is
the
great.
smartest way
He's
possible.
making more
Which is why
progress
he's
than
the best
he's
character.
made more progress than the rest of the Animorphs combined over the course of 10 books, just in between books.
yeah, I agree.
Hey, do you want to talk about the oak tree on the skateboard now?
What?
Where?
Oh,
What?
yeah,
That's
that.
way ahead.
Is it? It's like...
Oh, no, it's not. It's okay. First, I want to say a couple more
Yeah,
things.
go ahead.
Okay, another thing about Tobias' character, it's kind of an extension of what I was already talking about. He says to Rachel, don't hide stuff from me because you think it will hurt my feelings. I can't handle you feeling sorry for me. And then Rachel says, I don't feel sorry for you, but Tobias in his narration says Rachel lied, but he doesn't dwell on it. Like, if this were a Cassie book, Cassie would go on for like 4 paragraphs about how she knows that Rachel's lying and how she feels bad about it. But Tobias just says it and moves on because he just assumes that that's true.
I mean, she did lie a lot in the previous book.
I don't
Like,
want
a
to think about the
lot.
previous book. He just assumes it's true. He kind of projects onto her that she's lying and that she feels sorry for him.
Man, I really hope Rachel lying isn't like now part of her character like throughout the series.
Yeah,
I
I liked this part of the book because I saw it as Tobias projecting feeling sorry for him onto her.
Yeah.
She might even, I don't even know if she necessarily did feel sorry for him in that moment, but it was an interesting piece of writing that Tobias just says that she lied, but then he moves on from it because he's just like, yeah, that's the facts. I don't really have anything to say about it. That's just how it is. And then he says, "Good, because you know how you think. Because you know how you think about me is sort of important." Because he just.
I winced. I sounded way too sincere.
Yeah.
I mean, what was I thinking? Rachel's a human, a real human. I'm a hawk. You think Romeo and Juliet were doomed just from being from families that don't like each other? Well, you can't get any more doomed than caring for someone who isn't even the same species.
Aww.
Like, he talks about something that should be, like, weird and awkward and sexual, and he doesn't even make it weird and awkward and sexual. He's just like, yep, no.
And then Rachel says, "On a day like this, I'd follow you anywhere."
Yeah, that was a little...
I wrote, "Aww, I like their relationship. I've been missing it. I've been through so much Jake and Cassie, and also just Rachel being too much of an idiot to actually
Alpha
be."
Girl Lord.
They're fine too.
I like those ones.
They actually
I think those
married.
were the cutest ones, and they actually married. And they went through so much together.
I didn't notice much romance in this book.
There wasn't much.
There's
it was
not.
very
That's-
subtle.
That's why I like Tobias and Rachel's relationship, because it's not like freaking. They don't have to stop the whole book to do it. It's just like they just exist together.
Forced.
They just go together well. Jake and Cassie have to, whenever they're together, it's like they have to stop and be like, "Oh, I like you," you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really awkward.
It's like Cavalcade
annoying.
wrote book 3, and then spent 10 books thinking about how she could make a better version of book 3, and then she made this, which is
That's
great.
exactly what you did.
Tobias is just like, yeah, Rachel's pretty, she's smart, but he doesn't like drool over her for that whole book like Cassie does with Jake and vice
Well,
versa.
I have a picture of Rachel in my house. She doesn't like that picture because it's a picture of her pooping. But, you know, that's how I see her.
I think it really shows her
Easily.
character.
It shows her character. I could have taken a picture of her wearing a dress, but you see, that's not the real Rachel. The real Rachel has this grunting, gargoyle-like expression on her face, fighting in battle. I'm not gonna go on with
You know, I should talk about like, yeah, the characters project on each other, but then just too far away from that now. But I just want to say, yeah, I think the narrators project a lot of their opinions onto the other Animorphs.
Or their assumptions. About
Yeah.
it.
That's something I like about the series, is that I don't think the narrators are always correct.
Yeah, they're
Each
definitely not
character
always
is
correct,
different.
especially their opinions of alien
There's-
species.
There's a reason that the books are narrated by different characters.
And by
it's not like
kids.
just a gimmick, kind of. It's
I thought every book would be the same, despite having different narrators, and they kind of are. I mean, Jake and Cassie's books are pretty much the same.
yeah.
But
'cause in book
see
one-
that she's doing better with it than I expected, I guess.
Because in book 1, all the characters seem the same, except like, ooh, Marco's the funny one, and Jake is the leader, and that's about it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm surprised that they're using the different narrators as well as they are, because I remember at the before we started reading these, I was like, yeah, all of the characters just seem to be written to appeal to as many 90s kids as possible. So I was like, I kind of was thinking they must have just picked these characters just to, for money, but the way that they're switching around the narration actually works toward the story. I mean, a lot of the times, obviously not every time.
Yeah.
All right.
Yo, so in this book there's the oak tree, and it's not a skateboard, and that's the thing that actually happens.
No, it's not. It just looks like it. It just
What are you
looks
guys
like a
looking at?
skateboard.
There's an oak tree.
There's an
Everyone-
oak tree that
there's
covers a secret path.
No. There's a part when there's in this book, Tobias and Rachel are flying around, and then they look down, and Rachel says, "Is that what I think it is?" And then Tobias says, "Yeah, it's an oak tree on a skateboard." And then they swoop down and land on some mailboxes and watch this totally radical oak tree riding a skateboard, skates down the drive, and they say, "Man, that's just the coolest thing I've ever seen." And then
What does
the
Marco
oak
say
tree-
about it again?
He says,
why are you telling us this? We all read it.
Wait, actually,
Wait, Marco said something? I missed them all.
Marco said something
Marco
funny.
says, "Man, I didn't think trees were cool, but I sure do now."
And then Cassie's like,
Just
yeah,
like
of course,
Baywatch.
trees are cool.
He's cool, just like nice as neat.
Anyway, so
and then Tobias, and then the oak tree's like, "Yo, Toby, I got something for you," and he gives Tobias his morphing power back. The end.
The end.
anyway, so after that book, this book happens, and Tobias and Rachel are flying through the freaking forest or whatever. I don't know, prairie time, and then they see a tree from above, and it's just sliding, like it had no roots. Like it was on a skateboard or something. A huge oak tree just slid over. That's how it describes it, and it was covering a secret entrance to the oak pool or something.
So the Earth Pool they just made a robot tree. I mean, not a robot tree, but like a tree hatch.
Yeah, you'd think they would. Why would they go to the trouble to put a tree on top? Like, you think some dirt and rocks would do the trick.
That's not cool enough.
Yeah, it's not. It's
They're
not noticeable
aliens. They
enough.
have to do cool stuff.
It's not noticeable enough.
Yeah, Tobias wouldn't see it if it was dirt. Duh.
Yeah, the elements put the tree there.
No.
Plot armor.
So the Hulk Pajirs come out, and Tobias like kind of guides them out.
This scene is awesome. Every scene where Tobias, this whole book is very awesome. That's
Tobias
I love it. But
Tobias thought speaks to the Hulk Pajirs who are like freed and running away, and he's like,
Tobias'
"Oh, hey, go
plans
this way."
are actually good. Like Tobias has good plans.
except for
Rachel's
one,
plans
but
are
I'll get
really
to that later.
bad. Oh, except what?
Except for one, I'll get to that later.
Oh, okay. I can't think
I
of
have a
In
note.
this book?
Yeah.
Oh.
I have a note about when he's leading the Hulk Pajirs.
Mm.
At one point, he says, "There's a stream. Think these monsters can swim? They don't look like they do." And then Tobias says, "Hulk Pajir, can you swim? If you can, signal me by quickly slicing down the next sapling you come to. Slash, the sapling was suddenly shorter." So it says Hulk Pajirs can swim, but in book 4,
They just don't jump into not fast swimmers.
Oh, see, but maybe the Hulk Brazier knew that he was going to put him in the stream. And the stream is not very deep, so they could have just like walked across the bottom.
Also, that's really fast thinking on Tobias' side. Like, how can I communicate with these people? I know they can like signal me by slashing at a sapling.
Tobias is genius.
I know, he's so clever in this book.
I love this scene. Just like it was very tense. The way I wrote Tobias epically leads the Harpyger through a forest.
Anyway, so
he's multitasking. He's trying to lead these guys. He's trying to lose the controllers, and he's trying to find a hiding place.
Which is most of the book, but it never gets old for some
It doesn't.
reason.
This book kind of reminded me at times of if you guys have seen Avatar: The Last Airbender.
The series?
Yeah.
No.
I have, but it's been a while.
There's an episode where like the bad guys are chasing them, and they just have to keep getting up and running away, and they're losing sleep, and they're getting stressed. And the whole episode is just they settle someplace, and then the villains catch up to them, and then they get up and run away again. And it reminded me of that. It's just like no rest. You just got to keep doing that.
Yeah.
Was it a good episode?
It was a good episode. I liked it.
I just wanted to say, Act says Hulk Pajir do not swim in book 4.
He does?
Yeah.
Well, Axe doesn't
He
know
does
shit.
because Taxon's.
Axe is a dummy.
Well, after that, he says, the Yooks,
like
we may be
Axe.
safe. The Yooks know little of deep waters. They have no oceans on their world, only shallow pools. So he might have just been saying that Tax and controllers don't swim because Yooks don't know anything about water.
Hulk Brazier controllers.
Or maybe he's
Hope
just,
you controls,
he's
yeah.
just talking about like
I
deep
think
sea
if you're a
diving.
Hork-Bajir and you're running away from controllers, then and your hawk says, "Hey, can you swim?" Then you're gonna say, "Yeah, sure, I can swim. I gotta get away."
Yeah, so maybe they just lied.
Yeah.
I know the difference from Hulk Pajirs and Texans. I don't know how. That was just like a misspeak. That just happens, I guess.
There's just a little typo over
Sorry.
the mouth.
It's okay.
I'm just surprised.
Before this book, I pictured Hork-Bajir as a cross between the alien from Aliens and Shredder from Ninja Turtles, but now I picture them more like the dinosaurs, like in the fan art that you drew.
Oh, I imagined them less of dinosaurs after reading this book.
Huh.
What did you imagine them more like?
It constantly calls them
Goblins.
goblins and
They
gargoyles.
say goblins twice.
And also it says they have like stiff bodies at one point, so they're like not floppy.
Well, I didn't think they were floppy. They're like tough.
I imagine them kind of floppy,
Kind of floppy.
like snake-like bodies almost.
See, they all say snake-like heads, but and then people draw them with like snaky necks. They're like, no, the necks aren't snaky, just the head. They
Like
don't
the-
have
like
long snake necks.
Like the Goombas in the Mario movie.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
At what point did you guys think that these Hork-Bajir weren't controllers?
Oh, I thought from the beginning.
As soon as they
I
were
don't see why
running.
they would run away.
It didn't seem significant to me.
Okay. At what point did you?
At the point
Were you surprised that there were female Hork-Bajir?
No.
Like
I was
Horko
not.
was?
You told
But,
me. You mentioned
so
it.
from the very beginning, Tobias mentions that like right after they jump out, they kind of hug each other a little bit, and I'm like, oh, they're probably husband and wife.
Oh, okay.
And then it comes out that they're husband and wife, and they're like, what?
They like hold hands.
Well, duh.
I thought they were cute.
I'm glad
They are cute.
I'm glad this book delved into like the Hork-Bajir lore, because in the Andalite Chronicles we learned a lot about the Taxons, and here we learned a lot about the Hork-Bajirs, finally.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if they'll be allies or if they'll just like make babies in the valley.
They don't seem to be smart enough to be allies.
Well, I don't think just that they're dumb. I just think they don't speak English. Like I don't.
Yeah,
really
they
like
don't seem dumb. They just seem like they aren't good at language.
I don't
Like,
really,
again, I think
like
it's just the narrator being judgmental.
Yeah, because the narrator does say they're
probably
dumb.
it.
I don't like the trope of like, oh, we want to make these people sound simple, so we'll just make them say English, but we'll take out articles and pronouns, so it sounds dumber. And this book does that, and I find it a little bit annoying, but not too bad.
Wasn't it said at some point that their own language only has like 500 words?
Yeah.
That is way
was
too
it 5?
few.
I thought it was 5,000. Is it
No,
only
500. Yeah.
Oh wow.
So I can understand like they don't understand the concepts of articles.
Yeah,
like I think so far it seems to me that Hork-Bajir are smart, like maybe almost as smart as humans, but they're just not language smart.
Well, yeah. I mean,
You can still be like you. I love the idea of aliens having different, like just being smart, but having different
So like they're
intelligences than
spatially
humans do.
smart.
Yeah, sure. Like they're very like they may be very good at problem solving, but not at language. That's all.
Cool.
Yeah, which I agree. I just
That's a
didn't know
good
that like anytime media does it, they do it the same way. Where they just say, like, "Oh, just take out the and pronouns." And
Well, if your language is only going to have 500 words, I don't think they're all going to be.
That seems like it would make sense.
like they could have taken out other words. I don't know.
Well, no, it's annoying that's used in media to call things stupid. I think it's fine if you're saying, oh yeah, 500 words, but
Yeah,
to
the
me,
way
I
that
just got
Tobias is
the
automatically
vibe
like, oh,
that
they're
these guys are
idiots.
like cavemen.
Well, yeah. Well, we've discovered that the Animorphs and even the Andalites are very judgmental when someone doesn't know everything they know.
Even the Andalites?
especially the Andalites.
They are.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, the Andalites are judgmental.
Surprisingly. And then there's another I just wrote down a lot of times where Tobias and Rachel were cool. Tobias says, Rachel, have I ever mentioned that you are extremely cool? I just like their relationship when they don't, like I said, they don't grind the book to a halt. They just grind on each other real quick and then move on.
I mean, this book, Tobias also says, doesn't he say, like, Tobias says, like, Jake, is it okay if I say I love you? And then Jake doesn't even answer, from what I remember. Does he even say anything back?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, the
Man, I
Tobias is
definitely
cute.
highlighted that, but I gotta, yeah.
that was one sweet save back there. Would it be wrong for me to say I love you, man?
And what does Jake say?
He just, haha, that was fun. Oh yeah, that was a rush.
So doesn't answer.
He's shaking it
I
off.
really
He's
loved
awkwardly like,
Jake acting as Tobias and being the bird boy.
I was kind of annoyed by that because it's like, well, Tobias would do it better.
Tobias should do it better.
He could.
Jake is
See,
faster.
I agree.
That's
That's
the one
to me,
thing
it
where
just
I was
seems
like,
like-
why does Tobias have to be the one to be the
It
Hulk?
just
Because
it was just
otherwise
Tobias. He wanted to show off that he morphed now. That's it. He was like, oh, I want to morph now.
Yeah, this seems pretty self-serving.
It was
yeah.
thematically, or like, I don't know the word, it was
He was excited.
It was a satisfying third act. That's why.
That's why.
Yeah, that's like way
sense.
later.
It would have been less satisfying if Tobias was like, guys, I can morph, and then Jake said, great, but we need you to be the Hawk still.
Yeah, we didn't. I didn't want to read another 5 chapters of him flying. It's too much.
It's not too much, but yeah,
He flew a lot in
I can
this
see
book.
why it would be less epic. I mean, this book was quite epic.
Do you want to talk about Marco being sexist now?
Yes.
So Tobias comes by and like tells his animal friends that the Hork-Bajir has a wife, and Marco is like, "What? How do you tell a Hork-Bajir from a woman? Man, how do you
First
tell
of
a
all,
man?"
he's just surprised to know that there are female Hork-Bajir in general.
What?
I'm like,
Animals have girls too?
And he was like, "Do the women put makeup on their wrist blades? Do they use nail polish on those big nasty toes?" And then everyone just ignores him, and then he just keeps going on about it. He's like, "Do the female Hork-Bajirs cry at chick movies? Do they go all goo-goo when they see a baby?" And they just keep ignoring him. And Marco just keeps going on. Like, "Oh, do they get scared when they see snakes and spiders?" And then Cassie is like, "Okay, that's enough." Oh, it's Cassie, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Cassie.
Yeah, and then Cassie's like, "Okay, that's enough." And she grabs a snake and throws a snake at him and he freaks out.
And then he's like, "What?" He like streams and says, "Okay, that wasn't nice. Be mature." And then Rachel just says,
Bruh.
"Well, fine, get out of here. We'll be more mature then."
Yeah, but
I wanna
automatically be
punch
more
him.
mature
So-
once you leave.
Dude, I
really
love
wanted
this
to
scene. This whole
punch
scene's
him.
great.
Marco definitely gets his just desserts.
I love that they just like, completely ignore him and he just keeps going on and just saying these whole
That's what Marco just wants to irritate people.
That's true.
They just throw a snake at him.
Yeah.
They're like making a plan and Marco's just going on about freaking.
Did he want to have? I think he just wanted to have a snake thrown. I think Marco just likes it when people just throw snakes at him. And
Well, I think
try
he
to punch him
wanted
in
them
the
to start
face.
yelling at him. It's nice that they didn't do the trope of Rachel being like, Marco, that's sexist. And Marco's like,
Yeah, they just like throw a snake at him.
yeah,
that
Cat,
just
good
makes me
job,
think of
Cassie.
Wayne.
Way
Yeah.
to go. Way
He
to
just
do
throws a
something
snake
actually
at him, and then he
interesting.
shuts up.
And I like the actual funny joke that Rachel made when she was like, "Yeah, we'll be more mature if you leave." Just automatic, just on average.
It was automatically be more mature as soon as you leave.
Okay. What did anyone else have to say about that?
Marco's dumb
Marco's great.
and dumb.
Screw Marco.
Marco's
That's a return to
Bro.
form because I didn't like Marco in the first book.
Neither did I.
I mean, I like
Um,
Marco.
and-
I really enjoyed this scene.
See, okay, look, I like Marco, but I didn't like the things he was saying.
Yeah, it was really stupid. I thought the situation was funny, and I liked that he kept going on for no reason, and he got the snake thrown at him.
Yeah.
So the Animorphs go talk to Jarahami, and they make him turn his back when they're humans so that he doesn't see that they're humans, because if the Yeerks recapture him, then they'll know all that.
Marco calls him. He's like, "Oh, his name's Jeremy."
No, that's Jake. Jake says that.
Oh, Jake says that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm surprised. I forgot about that part. I'm surprised they didn't just call him Jeremy for the rest of the book.
I'm just glad they did not.
That's
They
that's
don't need
really
to-
weird now because it's like now I imagine Capelgate being in her room and they're like, what could I name this Horcrux?
So you guys
Jeremy? No, that's too human. I gotta Jeremy.
So you guys-
Jeremy. Perfect.
So you guys think?
And then she wrote that into the book.
So you guys think she just named him Jarahami just to make that joke?
Yeah.
Really?
Maybe, yeah.
It wasn't even a funny joke
It's
either. It was
not.
just like,
Yeah, it's
Huh,
not. That's why
okay.
I think that she probably came up with that name, and then when she said it out loud, you're like,
I
oh.
mean, I have
Jake
characters
says.
that are just like other actual names, but just move some of the letters around. So it makes a lot of sense
Yeah.
to me. Yeah.
Okay.
see, Axe isn't like a human name. So is that what makes it okay?
What? It's just that it's short enough.
It's short for Axel. They can call
That's
him
true.
Axel.
Jeremy isn't really that much shorter than Jara for me.
Okay, what's everyone's next note?
Mine is about when Rachel morphs Jarahami, and there's a cool scene with a Hork-Bajir like
Which chapter
ritual.
is that?
Chat 10.
Mine's
Okay.
mine's about
have anything in
mine's
chapter
about when
Oh wait, in
Tobias and
chapter
Axe
9 is when Marco sings the Barney song.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I have it on chapter 9.
Me too.
Yeah, maybe I should actually
It's probably
write notes.
You probably have the same note I've written down. I just wrote down the quote. You just can't be careless when you're dealing with a Hork-Bajir. One fast move and they can leave you wondering why your head is rolling across the grass.
I didn't notice that. That's a nice vision.
I like that line a lot.
Oh, chapter 9 is also when Jared cuts himself.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
Oh yeah, we have to talk about that. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
They're
Okay,
like,
explain what happens.
So
better.
they're like, hey, how do we know how do we make sure that they're not a controller? And Jared's like, well, okay. So he uses his wrist blade and he just cuts the back of his neck and it opens up the skin and is like, okay, you see any yerk in there? And they're like, ah! No, we don't. And then he closes it up, and then his skin just starts healing
it just
itself.
kind of stabs over.
That was also a cool way to like introduce that Hork-Bajir was healed really fast.
Yeah, it was. It was
Yeah.
cool.
Also, just being
really
an
awesome.
awesome,
That was really
an awesome gross scene.
And then later,
Yeah,
what
I like stuff
were
like
the
this.
were the Hork-Bajir's names? Jara and
Jara and Ket.
Jara and Ket.
Yeah.
And then after Ket is like looking at his back of the head, like, "What, baby? What did you do? What is this?"
That was kind of sweet.
Thanks for bringing that up. I
This is
forgot
like
about
this is
that.
like probably my favorite part, honestly.
After that happens, Tobias says, "Did that scare the pee out of you, Axeman, or
Oh,
that
yeah.
kind of thing not bother that?" that
Sorry, say
doesn't
that
kind
again.
Tobias says, Tobias says, "Did that scare the pee out of you, Axeman, or doesn't that kind of thing bother you, Andalites?" And Axe says, "I am as peeless as you, Tobias, my friend." Now, is that like censor me, please? Is that like a pun on like scared shitless, but you can't say shitless, so you just said peeless instead, because P is less vulgar?
I didn't think about that. But
No,
yeah, okay.
no, you would see. I don't like. I don't know why they used pee here when they could have said poop.
Well, just
The
scared.
word poopless is really weird. I'm as
I've
poopless as
definitely
you.
heard the phrase "scare the poop out of you" and not "scared the pee out of you."
Yeah,
I am as poopless as you, Tobias, my
in a
friend.
previous book, she said "scare the pee." I was like, do people say that?
I guess
It
where
makes
she's
more
from
sense.
anyway.
Like, I can't imagine pooping out of fear, but I can imagine peeing.
Yeah, but scared
Yeah.
shitless is the thing people say.
Well, it's
Yeah.
funnier
Master,
when you
please
poop your
censor me when I
pants
say
than
that.
when
I
you
don't want.
poop
I
your
don't want to
pants.
cuss on the podcast.
I think it's pretty funny to imagine Axe peeing, but I don't want to imagine Axe
So
pooping.
okay, so but do Andalites poop?
I don't know. But
Do
they
Andalites
probably
dream of-
pee.
You said this question would be answered.
Hang on. He
Did
said
I?
I'm as peeless as you, but that doesn't answer whether or not he's peeless.
It doesn't.
Did he pee?
He probably doesn't even know what pee is. He just
He
like,
probably doesn't.
He probably just said, He probably just said, peeing must be a thing humans do when they're scared. I think.
I am
I
scared.
must have been peeless.
I must have peed. I'm scared.
Hang on. When does Tobias say anything about eagles flying out of his butt?
Forgot about that too. It's page 34. Wherever that
Oh
is.
man, this movie's great.
That's chapter 14.
Should I read that now?
That's a little bit far.
We might as well read it
That's-
now.
Alright, yeah, just read it now.
You're very quiet. For the context is Axe is tromping through the forest, and Tobias hears him, and he says, he's like, "Yo, I could hear you very loud." And Axe says, "I was trying to be quiet." And Axe is like, Tobias basically says, "Yo, you can't be quiet." And Axe says, "One of these days, I may show you." That's referring to like him being quiet, right?
Yeah, one of these days I'll show you. I'll be quiet.
And Tobias says, "Ha, right, and eagles may fly out of my butt." And Axe says, "Is that possible?" Sounding alarmed. Tobias says, "No, see, that's why it's funny." And Axe said, "I understand." Clearly not understanding at all.
I think I was like scared. He's like,
He was concerned.
It was like in book 12.
oh man, I forgot about the great lines from. Is that possible?
Sounding alarmed.
That's book 23 of Tobias.
He goes giant and then he goes fly out of his butt. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And Axe is like, he told me about this.
I should have warned the others.
I shouldn't have kept quiet about this. I knew he
Chick
was
is like, Axe, you can't keep secrets from us.
Okay. A little bit after that has nothing to do with that. But
I like
Wait,
the
do we
part
want to
where
go back?
Yeah, we can go
Rachel
back.
and Jerahimi. Rachel morphs into Jerahimi, and then the two Hork-Bajir see each other, and then they seem to start fighting, and everyone's like, "Oh no!" But then they circle around each other, and they stretch up on their tiptoes to see who is taller. And then Jerahimi and Rachel bent their heads forward and touched their scythe-like horns together with surprising gentleness. And later we learn, I don't know if this is a spoiler. Later we learn that, if I remember correctly, Hork-Bajir touching their horns together is their version of a kiss.
oh, so they kiss.
They did.
Oh,
That's
that's
a little bit of a
cute. Well,
spoiler.
I did that. I think it was cute when they did that.
Yeah. So Hork-Bajir, when they meet each other, they play fight. Then they basically kind of like a dominance display, but then at the end they kiss.
Wow, I like this book made me like Hork-Bajir more, and I already liked them a lot, but I like them in a different way now.
I like them too. I like them.
It shows the really sweet side of them, where they don't have a yerk in them.
I just like how they communicate with Tobias, and they're like, "Oh yeah, hi, my friend." They're just cool guys.
And as soon as Tobias talks to them, they don't question it. They just
Yeah.
they do it.
And Tobias says things like, "Oh, I've changed." I'll get to that later, but he says things like, "Oh, I've changed," and then Tara's like, "Oh yeah, I've changed too. I used to be the controller, and now I'm not."
Yeah.
It's great. I love how he's just like they're just like quick to relate.
Yeah.
They're not afraid to relate to the Animorphs, even though the Animorphs are obviously not a lot like the Hork-Bajir.
Yeah, they're very open, very friendly, very accepting.
Yeah.
I just noticed in a couple of pages after that chapter, this isn't like, it has nothing to do with the plot, but Tobias says, "I gripped the bone blade with my talon." So does that mean that the blades are made out of bone material?
I would assume.
Makes
Oh.
sense.
Alright. So here's the plan I don't understand. It worked, but I just don't understand it. The Yeerks have Tobias sees that the Yeerks have cornered Ket Halpak,
Mm-hmm.
but So he's like, so he dives, and Visitor 3's there. So he dives for Visitor 3. While he's diving for Visitor 3, he calls out, and then a nearby hawk, he's in somebody else's territory, so the hawk whose territory this is comes out to defend his territory. Tobias just, okay, I don't know, if I were Tobias, I would thought he would have called out before he starts diving, because how could the hawk possibly have gotten out fast enough, but whatever. That's not even the part I don't understand. For some reason, the Yeerks don't see Tobias, who's diving right towards Visitor 3 and also screaming. They don't see him, but they do see this hawk silently fly out and to see what's up, and then they think that's the Andalite for some reason, and then Tobias is able to claw Visitor 3 and nobody sees him as he gets away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was confusing to me.
I'm willing
too.
to let it go because this book is awesome, but I was like, that's weird.
Maybe
Yeah, that
Tobias
was
just
pretty
mixed up the
weird.
order of stuff.
Hang on, when we get to the end of the book, isn't that like the last?
No,
third
this,
act?
The end is at the
this is in
end.
chapter 12.
this was in chapter 11.
The Visitor 3 is chapter 11?
Chapter 12.
Yeah, he's just briefly.
He's just there. Yeah,
Visitor
like,
3
I was
doesn't-
like, oh man, Visitor 3 is going to be the main villain and he's going to cause shenanigans.
No.
He really wasn't.
He's literally a pushover. They literally just shove him out of the way.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, they do that.
It's great.
I don't even remember that.
He shoved himself out of the way, actually.
Well, yeah, but they get him to get
Yeah.
shoved.
I do want to say something about Visitor 3 as, like, remember when we were talking about, in the Andalite Chronicles, how, like, we think maybe it could have just been hate? That is the radiation that comes out of Visitor
Yeah.
3.
It's Lauren hating, or
Lauren
Prince
hating.
Al hating everybody, hating Visitor 3 so much.
Yeah, well, in this book it definitely says that he's evil.
Does it?
Like, it says
Well, yeah, that's
that
how
there's
Tobias
some dark
interprets
evil
it.
glow that
Yeah,
shines from
that's
within.
how the Animorphs interpret it. They don't really know how...
I still think it's hate. 'Cause I think hatred can be inherently seen as evil.
Yeah. I that's how I think. I mean, they've definitely described it as evil before.
Okay, well, that just made me a little bit less convinced of what you said.
Oh.
Is-
Alright.
is
Well,
this
it's
bef-
just my headcanon.
Is this before the Elemist part?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, the Almas is just like teleporting him places, and he's like, "What the heck?"
I was confused why he was so annoyed by it. Like,
I
Well,
would be
people
kind of
don't like
annoyed
being
if I was trying to
controlled.
do something and then suddenly I was somewhere else.
Okay,
and I
the
was like,
Animorphs
what-
have a really big problem with like other people controlling your life. That's like why they are so mad about like voluntary
Yerks.
controllers.
Especially Tobias. Tobias seems to be like, yeah, I want to fight for the humans and get out of my way.
Yeah, it made sense to me. Tobias is like an independent kind of guy too.
And he's already had so much like stuff. He's like, get out of here. I'm already
Yeah,
doing
he's
this
like, I'm
stuff.
super
Like, I
busy.
got my own
What
stuff.
are you doing?
I have heart things. I have human things. I have animorph things.
I bought it. I
Yeah,
bought.
he sees it as the Elmis like interfering with his own plans instead of the Elmis helping him.
Yeah.
I like
Well,
the
he knows the
elements.
Elemists are really sneaky. Yeah. He's seen them before.
He doesn't trust the Elmis at all.
Mhm.
And this book doesn't really
makes-
help with that. for
which
most
makes
of it.
sense.
I like the Elemist. He's a good genie, yeah.
I like him too, but he's not. I like him but I can understand why Tobias doesn't trust him.
He is a good genie because like genies usually like manipulate what you say to make it not
The Elemist just has his
to
own
make
goals.
it evil, but the Elmis just manipulates what happens, just manipulates like what people say and stuff to make it so that he can help people.
To me, the Elemist seems like
So
a
he's
realistic.
backwards genie.
He seems like a realistically written, like really powerful creature. Like I feel like that's how something would act if he was really powerful. He's like, yeah, I kind of want this trap in, and I'll just like him do it. And maybe it'll help him. I don't know. Like,
I thought this book was a little bit weirder with like how the Elmis isn't supposed to interfere because he was definitely interfering a lot more in this book than he was in the last.
Well, this
Both
is
of the
he's
Animorphs.
Tobias says you're the Elemist, and he says yes, I am an Elemist. So I'm under the assumption that this is a very different it's a very different Elemist we're talking about, and he's just this one's more loosey goosey with
oh, I
the
assumed it just
rules.
meant, I thought he was just clarifying that there's not only one. When he said that,
Yeah, I don't think that ensures that it's not the same Elmis. It could be though.
I like how in denial the Elemist is about helping because he clearly wants to. He it's like they're like Andalites, where it's like, no, I would never stoop down to their level and help them out. I'm just gonna like kind of just nudge them in that direction and maybe help them out.
He manipulates a lot more in this book.
I think
than
the
other
only
one
reason he
does, though.
manipulates is because he really wants those two Hulk producers to be saved, and he basically makes a deal with Tobias, and he's like, okay, fine, I'll
But
do that for you.
I'm just scared for the International Elmis Police to come and be like, hey, no, that's too much. You can't just teleport somebody around.
I think they're all chill.
Maybe it's like the Andalites where they're just trying to make their own rules and they're all self-righteous about it, but the Elemists just trying to decide, that's kind of stupid, let's just do whatever we want.
Okay, if they did that, they could just end the war.
Well, they also see it as a game, where they're like, I don't want it to be challenging,
Okay, yeah, doing this weird manipulating stuff sounds like a lot more fun than just being like, okay, all your Yerks are dead, the end.
That's why I think the Ellimist is...
How old is the Ellimist? The Ellimist might have been around for as long as the entire universe.
No, it said... Annalise Chronicle specifically said that there are beings older than the Ellimist, it's at the one point.
Well, there could be beings older than the universe.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay, this is Elfangor speaking from folklore too, by the way.
The Ellimist could be...
No, I think the Ellimist said that.
Probably know the Ellimist could be as old as the universe.
Oh,
can you imagine?
He's talking about the older thing that's evil, right?
Well, okay, I'm guessing that Elfangor specifically had more knowledge on it because he touched the orb. I'm gonna keep calling it an orb, a time matrix. It's a big magic ball. It's an orb.
Well, I'm just gonna keep calling it Zero then.
We are not the only great powers of the galaxy. There is another, older than even we. He plays a dark game, and light. It is with him that we play. So hope that we win. Dude, is he just talking about God?
Maybe I go against
God's
God.
so evil.
He plays a dark game.
So anyway, chapter 14. Did anyone have anything else to say about chapter 13?
Yeah,
Okay, then you were chapter 14.
Chapter 14 begins with a very... I was reading and I was like, oh, this is a very nice description of Tobias's, like, life. He talks about the branch he sits on, he talks about the dangers of the nighttime and how there's owls and how they hunt the same kind of prey as he does, but they have powers he doesn't have and he can't see very well at night, and he just talks a lot about nature and how it all connects and how it, like, puts him in danger and how it makes him kind of like almost, makes him very powerful during the day but not during the night. And I was reading this, I was like, this is very cool, and I'm learning a lot about Tobias' life. And then I realized this is Capelgate teaching us about animals. This is why the books were written.
I didn't pick up
or
on
why
that
the books
at all.
were greenlit.
Capelgate knows so much about hawks, it actually kind of started to creep me out.
But she knows nothing about some other animals.
Like what?
Like she
Dogs.
Like she didn't know how dog legs work.
Yeah.
She didn't know what a redwood tree is. Maybe
A redwood tree isn't an animal.
Arguably, she didn't know what a redwood tree is.
I have a feeling that
Not an animal.
Capelgate just really likes hawks, and she did a hawk project when she was in high school.
Yeah.
And now and that's why she wanted one of her characters to be like a hawk full time. But then by this book, she was like, well, this was kind of a bad idea. Maybe I gotta backpedal. I gotta make him a little less hawk like.
She said that whales team up with other whales, which might be true. I don't know.
That's
not true.
I very much doubt that.
I thought whales only got together.
That was divine intervention. That wasn't an animal thing. So Tobias says, at night I see a little better than a human. I mean, better than a normal human. I like that they just snuck that in there. Like Tobias is doubting Tobias corrects himself, saying like, oh, I'm still a human, I guess. I'm just not a normal human.
I noticed that too. Wow,
Remember
I think
what I
that was
learned
too subtle for people to bring up.
Remember what I learned in book 3?
I mean, he's not human. He's bird boy.
He's bird.
And I think that's like Tobias's form, like his soul is a mixture of bird and boy, and he knows it. Like he has all these bird qualities that clearly sets himself apart from being a human, and that's why you like never.
He's not physically human.
He's not mentally human either. He has all these. He's like such a mix of these two, and that's why he's so like out of place everywhere, and that's really cool character.
When the Ellimist talks to Tobias, and Tobias has like a hallucination of talking to the Ellimist, he describes that Tobias has a weird body. He says it's impossible to really imagine it very well, but somehow it was both a human and a bird and some third thing that was in between the two. Like, I like that. That was like, that's Tobias. He's all bird, all human.
Yeah, Tobias.
He's like Jesus.
He's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Tobias says...
He's completely divine and also completely human.
Tobias says, baloney, you know I'm human. And the Ellimist says, are you? You don't look like a human to me. And then Tobias feels tweezy, just is like, man, he's right, I'm not a human. I mean, that's just my interpretation, that he's right, I'm not a human. He looks at his body, he thinks of his mind, he's equal parts boy and bird, and then he just kind of, again, just like shoves it off and says, what do you want from me? Like, Tobias, he does a lot of like looking at stuff, and he's like, whatever, I'll think about it later. I have time to think about this. I have so much time, I'll think about it later. And
yeah,
just gets on with it.
I hadn't thought about that, but that's a good analysis.
He doesn't sit around and like let thinking like keep him from doing stuff like Cassie does in some books.
Tobias is superior Cassie.
Mm-hmm.
It's just he has a lot of time on his hands is part of it.
So
I just noticed at the end of chapter 14, there's a sentence that says, "You all have bird of raptor morphs."
Yeah.
Bird of raptor.
What? Oh, yeah.
So Cavalier was gonna write bird of prey, and then she's like, no, raptor, but she only got rid of prey and wrote raptor.
It,
So now it's
it-
bird of raptor.
It was definitely a capital game mistake.
Anyway,
Anyone else have anything to say about this Elemist scene?
No. My next note is about the Hork-Bajir.
I have
Almost is so
lifestyle.
godlike when he talks to the Hork-Bajir. He's like, okay, run. And then they're like, oh, I can hear a voice in my head. And he's like, I will send a guide.
And then Tobias descends from the sky. He's a shining
Yeah.
star.
In the form of a bird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a note here where it says, X says, the Hork-Bajir were never a very intellectual species, with a hint, and he says this with a hint of snobbery. Their own language was primitive. It only had about 500 words. That's what we learned in school anyway. I suppose it's true. So, like, it's like, I like how Axe is just like, yeah, that's what we learned in school. So, like, that makes me think maybe Hork-Bajir do have more than 500 words, and that's just what
They're
the
saying that
Andalites...
Andalites are so elitist that they would, like,
Yeah, dude.
publish
Yeah.
incorrect history.
Yeah, dude, they totally would.
I mean, they want to change the York history. That's like the whole reason they're fighting the war.
Yeah, do you
and,
think that...
and
do you think...
claiming that Hork-Bajir are dumber than they really are is gonna help that?
Yeah, sure, because because it's like, the Hork-Bajir were lost, but they weren't that important anyway. They were just
Oh,
kinda-
yeah. Wow, you're right.
Jeez. Well, I didn't need an excuse to hate Andalites any more than I do, but thanks for giving it to me.
Yeah. It makes total sense.
Man, the good guys aren't, like,
There's no
necessarily
good-
good in this
The
series.
only good guys
I
are the
love it.
Hork-Bajir.
The bad guys aren't necessarily
Well,
bad.
oh yeah,
and the
there's
good guys aren't necessarily
can I talk
good.
about a quote way later? One of the Hork-Bajir says do not that. He doesn't say do where
Okay, while you're trying to find that, another quote, which is kind of an extension of that last quote. Axe is... The Hork-Bajir don't like Axe. They see an Andalite and they're like, ah, no, Andalite. And the Animorphs reason that this is because they've had Yeerks inside their heads the entire life, so the only time they've ever seen Andalites is when Andalites try to kill them.
Yeah,
And that it makes sense, and they might have absorbed the hate from the Yeerks, because that's all they've known is the Yeerks in their heads. And then Axe gets angry and says, we tried to save them from the Yeerks. We failed, yes, but we did try. Why should they hate us? I just like that. He's just got a very two-dimensional outlook on other species, basically. And he says, the Yeerks should hate us. We Andalites will defeat them in the end. Axe is he's like a three-dimensional character, but he's still an alien who has problematic perceptions about other alien species that the humans can see. And then this reminded me of like the Andalite Chronicles and Book 8. When Andalites narrate, they see flaws in human perceptions, and I like that. I like how neither one is superior. It's just like we see problematic ideas that they hold.
yeah. I found the thing. It wasn't way ahead. It was my next note. I just skipped over it. So someone says, "Yo, so you have those blades? Like, are those weapons?" And the Hork-Bajir, one of them says, "Hork-Bajir have no enemy, no prey. Hork-Bajir not kill. Yeerk kill. Yeerk kill Andalite. Andalite kill Yeerk. Hork-Bajir die." So these creatures are really just like caught in the middle of all of this and getting slaughtered, and they've done nothing. They just want to eat trees and stuff.
And I assume that a lot of the time when they slaughter a Hork-Bajir, the Yeerks are able to escape and then crawl away, right?
Now my thought is that like if a creature dies when Yeerk's in it, maybe because the Yeerks are really eager to not be inside a dead body. Like anytime their host are gonna die, they bail.
Yeah, that's true. Like
That's what I'm saying. So they probably bailed a lot.
No, but they seem to always bail before the person dies. Like,
Yeah.
Whenever the Yeerk is worried that the thing might die, the Yeerk gets out of there.
They're
So
You're
it's-
saying they just die immediately.
It seems like if the person dies, the Yeerk dies immediately.
Yeah,
maybe.
Based on
talked
how the
about
Yeerks
this
act.
before.
But I'm not sure. I mean, I have no way of knowing.
Yeah.
This book kind of gave me some hope that a lot of the Hork-Bajir that they like seem to mortally wound are actually fine, because they apparently are very good at healing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At
Not
least-
good enough to get up and chase the Animorphs, though. Just good enough to survive.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, the Animorphs freaking dismember them a lot, but maybe they just don't die because they have their blood is able to clot and scab very
However,
quickly.
if their arms and legs get chopped off and they don't regenerate them, then
Well, Visser 3, well, it's not a regeneration, it's just
Of
like
course,
it's...
this is 3 probably
no,
just
I'm
kill
gonna say
them.
Visitors 3 would probably just kill them because they're useless. now.
Yeah, well,
eat them.
I don't think it's regeneration, just it didn't say it healed, it just scabbed really fast.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, yeah,
there's
that would
no
mean
full
that,
healing.
That's what I'm saying.
that would mean that they're not gonna bleed to death.
Yeah, so they're not gonna, like, grow arms.
That doesn't mean they can regenerate necessarily,
Yeah.
but it does mean that they are very, very resistant to bleeding to death.
I think the only person who'd know, like, how strong the Hork-Bajir are is Visser 3, and he's convinced that a fallen ravine full of hungry wolves will kill the Hork-Bajir, and then it's not even worth checking.
No,
like-
they're already like very mortally wounded from falling down though.
Yeah, so to Visser 3, a long fall and wolves is a definite kill, so, but maybe they just take, like, slashing very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
And the Animorphs mostly fight with slashing, except Marco and Cassie. No, Cassie does claws, I guess. Except Marco, pretty much.
Alright. I have a note on chapter 16 where the Hork-Bajir and Tobias are tromping through the woods, and then Tobias tells them all to stop, and they stop and worship a skunk for a minute, and then they continue on their way.
I thought that was really dumb.
Oh, that was good. I liked it anyway.
No, I just thought it was dumb just how we talked about the skunk. Stop! Nobody move!
Oh yeah, he said
Nobody move a muscle till it's gone. It won't kill you. It'll just make you wish you were dead.
Yeah, that was
Like,
a bit extreme.
That's pretty extreme.
Like,
I
dude,
mean-
there are people with yolks inside their head wishing they were dead, and you're saying that, oh yeah, this skunk, you're gonna wish you were dead, man.
Well, he doesn't want
You don't even know that Hork-Bajir can smell.
He's
he doesn't-
very
Yeah, that's
insensitive.
true.
He doesn't want to deal with stinky skunk for the rest of the book, that's all. So he's like, yo, no, it's worse than death, just bad.
Tobias says, like, book 9 was so bad, we gotta just avoid this skunk. No,
Do not hurt the skunk, or Cassie will make us just forget about you guys and raise it and heal the skunk back to health.
My next note on chapter 17.
I have a note there too.
I mentioned this earlier. A Taxon swallows a bobcat in a single bite. Bobcats are like people size, right?
Well, it did say that taxons are the size of a redwood around.
Because I thought their mouths were small, like maybe the size of a human head.
It always says their mouths are gaping.
Gaping?
Yeah,
Size
but
of a-
no,
like-
I
like
thought
if
it meant
I-
like they're
like
just always
imagine-
open, but not like big.
I can imagine a
Maybe they stretch like those tubes.
Do you have official artwork of taxons you can show us?
Sure.
Actually, I'm.
I imagine them pretty much exactly how Badger drew them in the Dapson comic. Or
Yeah, that's how I
comic.
imagine them now.
But like, and also in the past, all we've seen of Taxons eating is like eating guts and tearing out flesh. They've never swallowed anything whole, so that just seemed out of place to me. That they just swallowed a bobcat.
I can imagine a taxon being the kind of thing that could like unhinge its, or rather just expand its mouth and swallow something whole.
Yeah, you know, it tried to eat Tobias, but the bobcat just got in the way and flew into its mouth all happily.
That was a weird part.
I liked the part where Tobias fought the bobcat with the stick. I thought that was very epic.
Yeah,
what
I was like,
happened?
how's she gonna get out of this? You'd have to be a genius, and he was.
How does he
Just
fight
Tobias.
the bobcat with a stick?
I'll read the quote in a minute, or somebody else can. I'm showing you guys a picture of a taxon.
So he tries to get a mouse, but then like he missed a bobcat, hiding in the bushes behind him. So he's like standing on the ground, and he's like, well, if I try to fly away, the bobcat will just pounce on me and kill me. So I gotta be smart about this.
He has a broken wing at this point, right? Like
Yes.
he can't move.
Oh no,
much.
he can't. No,
that's later.
Oh,
He's
it's
still-
later.
he's still-
Wow,
his
Tobias
wings-
has a rough day here.
He really
That's
does.
a rough day.
I love it. I mean, I don't want Tobias to suffer necessarily. It's a good book.
So the hawk really wants to just yeet itself out of there. He just wants to fly, but the human is no, we gotta be smart. And so he grabs a stick, and then as soon as the bobcat jumps up, he jumps up and pokes it in the eye. Pokes it in the eye.
It's epic. I can. Here,
And
I
then
can read it.
and then his brain says, "Okay, now we can fly," and then he flies away.
Yeah, I loved it.
That's definitely not. If those are only 10 feet long, that's definitely not bobcat size. I don't think. Do bobcats come in small size?
It was a baby bobcat.
Baby.
Aren't bobcats like dog-sized?
It was a baby bobcat.
So I'm
I
looking
mean,
at the,
Bubsy bobcat's pretty small.
so I'm looking at this official art of a taxon.
The
It looks,
bobcats are like 2.5 feet long.
Whoa.
Yeah, dog size. It looks much more like.
Hey, in the book it says they only have 3 rows of arms. What is this? It says 6 rows
This has
of
like
arms.
crab claws for some reason. This is much more crustacean-like than I imagined.
It's very crustacean.
These are they say needle-like arms.
Keep
not
in mind that,
crab-like
like,
arms.
you know, the,
Yeah, this is not like
These are just
this is not Capital Gage's like vision. This is just what they kind of.
Being crustacean-like makes sense because they swim really well, but
Well, also like I think the artists were like, okay, I want to draw something that looks cool. I don't want to draw something that looks weird and
That's
gross.
true.
I want to put something on a cover.
Yeah, this
So
was
in the end, it's artist's
Yeah.
choice.
the guy who designed all the covers said, "Oh yeah, the reason I put them in clothes is because it looks more aesthetically pleasing." You know, like,
yeah. Oh man, whatever happened to the good old days? And breakfast was a nice, easy bowl of Wheaties.
Have you ever had Wheaties?
He does a lot of missing being a human in this book. Where he's like, he's sleeping on his branch and he's like, man, remember what it was like to be in a nice, snugly warm bed and not have to worry about things coming and trying to eat you.
But then he acknowledges that, like, my human life wasn't good though.
Which chapter
Yeah,
is
but it's
this?
a genius. He's like,
17.
well, actually, there were bad things, and I'm only remembering the good things.
Yeah.
So, like, maybe I shouldn't be as homesick as I am.
Poor Tobias.
And I still hadn't had breakfast.
Yeah.
why is he just hungry and like sad this whole book?
But he's like the most
But he doesn't
effective
stop
person
working.
in
He
the whole
doesn't
He's
just
so
sulk.
competent. He's the most competent animal
Oh, I
Like-
love Tobias.
by far.
Yeah, Jake's just like, I guess I gotta tell people what to do. And Marco's like, you want to watch TV, but I think Marco does have some good stuff to say.
I think Marco's competent. He's just not very motivated
Kinda
or
lazy.
enthusiastic about
He
it.
just uses his brain to make jokes instead of doing smart stuff.
And Rachel just like, oh, there's something I can punch, cool. And Cassie's like, hey, strong, yay.
I'm excited for the next Marco book.
I think Cassie's good in this book. I think this book has some Cassie's stronger spots.
Okay, what does Cassie do in this book? She
I don't
throws
know.
a snake. She
That's all you
turns
need.
into a bird, I think. What did she do during the last part? Oh, she turned into a wolf. That's right.
I think I was just thinking of throwing a snake. That really like stopped Marco
So
from
yeah,
being
I liked
annoyed.
Cassie in that moment.
There's a part at the beginning, Cassie, like, they're like, oh, there are only 2 hook bridges left. And then Cassie's like a member of an endangered species. So she says that. And it says she
Cassie
says
wouldn't care about the Hork-Bajir at all unless it was, oh, it's environmental.
yeah, and it says she said that thoughtfully, yeah. So, she thinks in this book.
She does think in this book because Tobias is like, well, see, like we were trying to go to the car wash, but then for some reason I kept being drawn back to the forest. And Cassie's like, I wonder why that is. But everybody else is like, girl, Hork-Bajir, what? And Cassie's like, I wonder why he kept being drawn back to the forest. So she does that, which I thought is kind of cool. Although it gets resolved kind of without her.
Well, that's
Are
kind of
you
Cassie's character. She's like she does a lot of not action. Cassie's very hesitant, so maybe she's like kind of.
She isn't hesitant to jump into a pool full of dolphins.
Well, that's different. She was tired and wanted to play with the dolphins.
Look,
It's
that's
so
not
cute.
dangerous. She's hesitant when it comes to
She didn't
danger.
That
think
is
it was
dangerous, though.
I
When
think
it
that's the most
comes to-
dangerous part of the whole book.
Okay, but it's not like she's gonna get eaten.
No.
Dangerous. She's gonna be stupid dangerous, and she does that stuff all the time.
She's a lot of stupid dangerous stuff. You're right. Like the skunk book had so much like avoidable dangerous stuff.
Let's talk, no more skunks. We finished the skunk part of this book. Let's talk about chapter 8.
Chapter 18.
I have a
let's go,
complaint about
boys.
chapter 18.
You have a complaint?
Yeah. They're like walking with the 2 hook bajillas as animals, and they're like, oh crap, we have to demorph because we're running out of the 2-hour time limit. And they're like, oh man, it's a pretty big deal to like demorph in front of these hook bajillas because if they get caught, then we're screwed because the yolks can read the thoughts and stuff. And I'm like, why don't they just like go hide in a bush and demorph and then like morph back into an animal? Why do they have to like make this riskier than it is?
Why can't they make the Hork-Bajir turn around in a way that they're facing not all of them?
And then they just walk around the forest as humans. Like, why? That's so risky. Like,
And then they- and
that
they
seemed like it was Capital Gate just put it there for the sake of conflict.
Yeah, and
that annoyed
also
me.
they complained about how hard it was to walk up the hill, and it's like, just turn into wolves or something.
Yeah, they were just like, oh, Capital Gate acts as if like, or they always act as if there's like some limit where like they have to like demorph and then they have to be human for a while, but that doesn't exist.
It is tiring.
The one thing I would say is that it is tiring to keep morphing and demorphing all the time.
Like, probably not as tiring as walking up a mountain that's very, very steep.
Yeah.
But yeah, that seemed like Cavalcade put it in for conflict. There was
because then later the Yeerks are going in them, and then Tobias is like, "Oh no, the Yeerks are going to see the humans with the Andalite and the Hork-Bajir."
and that was like a major conflict in the book.
Yeah.
But it's a small complaint. It didn't bother me that much. It was just like, that's dumb. But
Well, to me, they're like, yo, hey, if the Yeerks get you, you're not going to let them, right? And they're like, no.
And they're like, no, freedom will die dead.
So then they're like, okay, yeah, we can be you. And I think they like being humans.
That was kind of poetic. That was...
Rachel really likes that the Hork-Bajir say free or dead. She comments twice, like, oh man, I like these guys.
Maybe they live in
dead.
New Jersey, live free or die.
Is it New Jersey? I thought it was New Hampshire.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm just trying to Google it and see what it was.
I noticed they stopped calling Hork-Bajir salad shooters.
It's New Hampshire.
They keep calling them like gargoyles and like lawnmowers and gremlins.
I think Rocco
goblins.
does at one point in this book call them a mix between a lawnmower and a gargoyle.
He also calls them two walking Cuisinarts, which...
Cuisinarts?
Sure.
I googled Cuisinart. I found this really, really cheesy ad for a Cuisinart.
Anyway, Cuisinart,
It's just a brand. He called them different brands of kitchen appliances.
But why wouldn't it be Cuisinart?
I don't know.
Anyway, it's a
How
type
did
of...
say it in the ad?
Because there's no E.
There's an A.
Yeah, A takes the place of knee, kind of.
Anyway, it doesn't matter how it's pronounced. It's a type of blender.
Hold on. Let's see what they say in the... They'll see what
I
they
don't
say in the
care.
We don't care about blender ads.
I want to know. Cuisinart.
Cuisinart.
That
Okay.
sounds
That's
stupid.
so
It's like
interesting.
queasy. I don't want to buy a food
I want to buy a food that makes me
queasy
queasy.
foot.
So now we get to the most horrifying part of the book, where Tobias gets dragged away by a damn raccoon.
I thought you were talking...
This part was amazing.
Wait, what
I thought it
chapter?
was great.
I
Chapter
loved it.
20.
I was going to talk about chapter 19, where
Okay.
Marco sings a song. Veldera, ha 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 ha. I asked my mom if she knows that song. She said, "Oh yeah, that song," and she sang it. She's like, "Wait, what is it? Wander? No, Valdry? Yeah, da." She was very happy.
Your mom knew that song?
Yeah.
And she sang it for you and you can't remember the tune?
What? Huh? No, I know the tune. Valdry, Valdra, Valdry, Valda, ha 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 ha. It is The Happy Wanderer, which is a German pop song from the 1800s based on like 10 seconds of research I did.
So there's a part in chapter 19 where Rachel's like, are you going to whine the whole way? Because he's like complaining about climbing up this mountain. And Marco's like, yes, that's the plan. Whine the whole way.
I love that.
That reminded me of myself.
Yeah.
Chapter 19.
It is like you.
Chapter 19 is a helicopter. And the helicopter says, "Fwamp, fwamp, 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 fwamp."
And they describe that as the characteristic sound of the helicopter?
That's not what a helicopter makes.
It's
It's not. I thought this was... I thought somehow Wizard 3 had shown up as his weird fish morph.
This is a helicopter noise. Shwoo, 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 shwoo. Wafflecopter.
Isn't flomp flomp flomp? Isn't...
What? No,
What is
that's a
that?
sprinkler. That's a that's a sprinkler noise. This is the helicopter noise.
That's enough.
Which is spelled SOI, not FWOMP.
Isn't
Swa, cause
soy?
True.
Isn't Flomp the exact noise that Wizard 3 made when he was in that weird fish morph?
No, that was
that's fine.
Womp.
Oh.
Wait, what? Was it Wump? I thought it was Wump.
It was Womp, yeah.
Okay. It's forgiven then. But that's not what helicopters sound like.
Wump,
Do you think
wump,
Cavalcade
wump.
keeps like a spreadsheet of all of her like sound effects?
I mean, she's pretty consistent. Like with
Yeah.
the Dracon beams, those have never changed. And with
And Tobias goes, "Tear."
Yeah.
in chapter 19 they talk about the Elmist a little more. They're like, did the Elmist have some clever plan? Probably not. The Elmist seemed to think he had to do the absolute minimum. He didn't mind sticking his little finger into the time stream, but he didn't exactly jump in all the way. I had the feeling we were on our own. So it's like he's kind of implying that the Elmist is like lazy.
I mean, he's just playing a game. He's just fooling around. He's just having a good time.
That's a big oof.
There's so many creatures.
The
in this
Ellimist
book
might
that
have been
can-
alive for longer than the universe has been around. Probably no. He's done everything there is to do. It makes sense that he's doing weird stuff for entertainment.
I guess so. I mean, this sounds like a lot of fun. Just messing with these people and watching them.
It sounds kind of sad and boring to me.
You wouldn't like Sims. then.
Everything's just kind of like unfolding kind of slowly-ish. And it's like, when
No,
do
to
I...
him it's all going at a normal pace.
Yeah, time's nothing to them.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever.
To them, it's just connecting different timelines. Like, okay, if I move this over here, then it'll be better, maybe.
All right, yeah, I guess it's like a puzzle.
Yeah, it's like you're putting together like a quilt, and you have a certain amount of fabric, and like, well, what can I put where to make it look nice?
All right. So can we talk about chapter 20?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this book is really, really great in bringing out the terror in Tobias' encounters with ordinary earth animals. Tobias talks a lot about how like he's what a powerful animal he is as a hawk, with his vision and his hearing and his speed and his just ability to coast around and his strong talents. Then he breaks a wing and he's just like, I'm totally done against this an animal I could drop kick across a room.
Yeah, because he like seems to think that he has so many advantages over everything else, but he's really fragile.
When he breaks a wing, he is, and he's just it's an incredible feeling of helplessness that this book conveys. I think when the raccoon is just dragging him across the ground, and he says something like, "I screamed."
On the ground.
I think he says like, "I screamed out
This
to
is
the."
not time for Mario teaches typing references.
And then he says, and I think it says like, "I screamed out to the deaf forest," because his friends aren't around, and the raccoon's about to just dig its fingers into him and eat him alive, and then the Elemist shows up, and
That's a little bit Elemist Ex Machina, but I think it's good.
it
I
makes
think
sense.
it's good anyway.
He's like,
No,
okay,
see-
do you want your reward now?
I think what happened is the Elemist already gave him the powers like a long time ago, and then
See, the
was
Elemist
just
is just playing. He's just watching Tobias die, and he's just like,
and the Elemist was just like, "Hey, dude, you have your powers, just use them, stupid."
Yeah, that was my thought, and I also thought that maybe he always had the ability to morph into himself because he already had his own DNA. But the Elements were just like, "Yo, dummy, look, see, this is you. You can do this. Become you, okay?
Oh,
Bye."
oh, I see. I assumed that Tobias would just have his own DNA in him.
Okay, that's like 4 chapters ahead. You can say what you're saying. Though.
That implies that he didn't though. Because if I were Tobias in this situation, yeah, I would just go straight to human.
Yeah, but he didn't think about it. I mean,
But
he didn't
But
say
for some reason he decided to
didn't.
morph into a raccoon.
Oh,
didn't-
okay. There was a part I thought was really interesting. After he morphed into a raccoon, he said, "Wait, was it possible? Could I remorph back into my own body, my red-tailed body?" Like he sees his red-tailed body as his own body at this point.
So
Yeah,
human didn't even occur to him at this point.
yeah. And well, at the end of this chapter, he says when he morphs back from raccoon into redtail, he says, I became myself again."
Yeah.
I just like that, Tobias. I mean, it's an ongoing thing with him accepting himself.
Well, in the previous books, he's like, what color eyes did I have again? I think they were bluish. I don't know.
Yeah.
I noticed whenever one of the animals is in like fatal danger, they just scream the word "no" over and over
That
again.
makes sense. I'd do that.
Yeah,
I felt it here.
I thought it was interesting.
See, but when I'm in mortal danger, when I'm playing Super Mario Brothers 3, all I can think of is making puke noises.
I just go quiet.
That's what my last word is gonna be. It's gonna be.
How do you spell that? For when you have a tombstone.
So
GLURG. But he does like when the Elemist gives him his morphing power back, he is like, "I wanted to be human again!" I screamed. "You liar! You cheat! I want to be human!" So he's definitely thinking about being human at this point.
Yeah, but he just didn't think he could. It's like when you tie a
why
horse.
wouldn't he just try
guys,
and
your
fail?
theory that
It's like-
your theory that Tobias had the ability to turn into a human the entire time is just pure theory.
No, just
That's
this
not-
book.
Yeah, it's pure theory. No, not
Just-
the
just
entire,
after he met
just
the
after the
Elemist.
Elemist like gives it to him.
No, yeah, that's pure theory.
Yeah, but
I don't agree with
It
that.
is, but I just
Why
not?
he sent him back in times just specifically so he could acquire him.
No,
Yeah.
I
I
thought it
don't
was a
see
dream.
why
I thought that
Tobias
was a
doesn't
dream.
have human
No.
DNA in him at this point.
No, see,
There's no reason he wouldn't have human DNA.
I don't think he
You
can
don't
morph
know
into
how
human at this
morphing
point.
works.
But
I think
human. He has
I-
human DNA inside him.
You don't know how
No.
morphing works.
no, the Elemist switched it back to his. He hasn't acquired
Wait,
his
maybe
human self.
maybe when you're morphing, your own DNA starts to degrade,
Yeah.
and then at 2 hours, it's just completely gone.
And
Yeah,
Maybe
which
that's how
which
it
also
works.
occurred to me. I think
Yeah.
either.
But no,
equal
all I thought was that
That's why he had to send him
when
back
the
in
when the
time.
Elemist made the deal with him, since that point, he could acquire morphs and morph into stuff.
Sure, fine.
And then the elements came and reminded him.
Sure,
I don't
but
think
he didn't have his human form.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think he
mean,
had his human.
If he did,
morph
that
yet.
was just that's totally a theory.
Yeah, but
And
to
all
me,
I'm saying is just like, why wouldn't he just try to morph into a human?
well, it's like when you tie a horse. Like I've seen a picture online. It's like a horse like tied to a lawn chair, and the horse is like, "Well, time to do this. I can't move." But it doesn't try because it just assumes, "Yeah, I can do this. So why do I try to get out? You know, I'm gonna fail. It's gonna be
I
struggling."
don't see what's the thought process behind him assuming that he can't turn into a human, though. Is it just because he's just hasn't
I
been
mean-
able to turn into a human for
Well, if
so
you're being
long?
I mean,
eaten
you-
by
you
a
guys did-
raccoon, I'm not gonna like try out things that might or might not work. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna be like, well, I can morph. I should acquire this raccoon and get out of here.
And everyone here assumed he couldn't morph a human, so why wouldn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
No,
He was just getting angry about the fact that he hadn't magically turned into a human right at that exact moment. So I don't think his thought was, "Oh, Elmas did give me what I want, but all I need to do is turn into a human first." Oops.
And that was my thought. My thought was, okay, now I didn't even think he was gonna morph the raccoon. I thought he was just gonna. I didn't even think he was gonna acquire the raccoon. I thought he was just gonna morph into a human. But then he acquired the
that's what I
raccoon.
thought. Yeah.
But he just
although
never tried
that's a
it.
good idea because when you acquire things, they go kind of dumb. So,
Yeah,
So
so-
it would give him a chance to escape.
Yeah, Tobias, he does stuff the right way. So Tobias he gets mauled by a raccoon and then he morphs into the raccoon and he morphs away and his stuff is healed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's canon now.
Mm-hmm.
The morphing heals even your original body's injuries.
It's not his. Human.
Yeah, that is kind of tricky because it's his Northlit body, but now he's technically a hawk, I guess.
Yeah.
But it still maybe doesn't work if it's your original body, not just the body you're currently inhabiting when you are out of morph, you know?
In the Andalite Chronicles, they mentioned that Aloran has battle scars, which made me confused, because if morphing would heal your original body's injuries, how would he possibly have battle scars?
Maybe he wanted to
Exactly,
keep
how would
them
he-
because they look cool.
Maybe he just never morphed in the time between getting the battle scars and.
I mean, they did say that the Andalites don't morph for pleasure. That was a thing that said in the Andalite Chronicles. And
Yeah,
then
but
Elfangor
humans
was like,
do-
"Oh, I've only ever morphed 2 things."
Humans do a lot, though.
Yeah,
They're also having hawk sects.
yeah. All right, so do we have anything to say about like their plan about how Marco catches them in midair and pulls them into a cave? Other than that, it's awesome.
I was really, really confused about what the plan was before it happened. I was like, wait.
I thought it was
needs
not.
to
They
be a
explained it
monkey
really
and-
nicely once it did happen, and they didn't we didn't have a stupid scene where they explained it beforehand.
Yeah, I thought that was.
Yeah,
good.
yeah, it was good.
No, I didn't think they'd be used Marco at all. I just thought it'd be like in Minecraft where you jump in a ravine and land in water and then you're safe.
Mm-hmm.
Which seemed like a really dumb plan to me. But then Marco was there, so
Yeah.
okay, this is not.
Well,
I
Yeah,
at
'cause
the
I
end,
remember-
Tobias was like, "I'll need Marco as a gorilla," and then
Yeah,
everyone was
and,
like, "Well,
and
what do
I
you
was
need that
like,
for?"
I was like, what the heck is this plan? He needs Marco as a gorilla to in a ravine and hook producers.
Yeah, I think that was good because it made the outcome go like, oh.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine anything cooler than what actually happened. Like I just kept imagining so the gorilla gonna like dress and drag and distract everybody or like what? So this plan is cool, but the only reason it doesn't backfire horribly is because Visor 3 just likes nature, I guess, because he really should have had his troops fire Dracon beams at the supposedly dead Hork-Bajir bodies so that there's not evidence of Hork-Bajir sitting around in the woods.
Yeah, he
expects-
he wanted them to die slowly to the wolves. He expects wolves to like completely eat like Hork-Bajir, the blades and stuff. Well, that
Yeah.
was a bunch. I guess this is probably a very remote area of the forest, and they already have like a bunch of
It
aliens
takes,
running around
like
anyway.
less than a second to fire a Dracon beam, and they love to do it willy nilly. So
No, but the wolves are gonna eat them. They're like, yeah, let them die. Let them die to a pack of hungry wolves instead of to us. That sounds like fitting.
I just like to think that Visor 3 like really likes watching the wolves eat the Hork-Bajir.
Yeah,
I mean, he loves things eating other
Yeah.
things. We know
He's
that.
a big easy guy.
He's a big eaty guy, and
Eaty peaty.
because when he sees it, he laughs, and then he says, "Look at them down there. That's what it awaits anyone who tries to escape the Yerks." He says, Look at them down there, all of you." I just noticed this. He's directing all of his underlings to like direct their host's eyes down
Point and
there
laugh at them.
to see so that to maybe suppress host rebellion.
Yeah, you can go down
And-
there and Oh, sorry.
That's what awaits anyone who tries to escape the Yerks. And then he laughs again, and he says the wolves will give them both the burial they deserve. So I like to think basically he just likes nature, especially when it's eating stuff.
Well, yeah, and you can go back and say, those two that tried to escape, guess what? We didn't even have to try. The wolves got them before we even had to fire a gun. Haha.
Yep. So that's what I have to say about that.
Oh, we skipped over this cool part. Rachel and Tobias are running through the forest as Hork-Bajir. And then they see a couple of taxons.
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly Tobias just freaking loses it. He's like, oh, I'm so angry right now.
Yeah.
Oh, I just want to fight and kill those guys. And then Rachel's like, no, that's stupid. We don't fight. We're gonna run. And then he's like, no, that they make me so mad. So like he kind of like he said earlier that he couldn't afford to be mad and that he's a predator. He just does things for hunger. But like this is kind of him snapping back to being a human, I guess, kind of.
And a Hork-Bajir.
That makes sense because it's like he was like awaiting his humanity to be returned to him.
Exactly.
Then
and it
wasn't.
ties in with the Elemis thing because Rachel's like, well, you're not really mad at the taxons. You're just mad at the Elemis for not turning you back into a human.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because the human's like not a. Well, I guess human is a predator, but not in the same way. Well, like humans do get angry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, humans are according to Tobias, hawks don't get angry the way humans do.
You know, that's kind of he kind of mentions that he's like this mess of minds where he's not sure if he's angry because the hawk part of him doesn't like taxons in this hawk area, or if the human part of him, but he doesn't like these slimy taxon worms, or the Hork-Bajir part of him because he's had seen how despicable taxons are. I guess that's not technically DNA, but whatever. So he's just like this mess of three different minds. He's a boy trapped in a hawk, morphed into a Hork-Bajir. So I'm wondering if we'll get into like one of Tobias like morphs into a Yerk and inside another body.
Oh no.
Just like five, whether it be bird, boy, Yerk, another creature. So there's like four different minds.
Yeah.
So is everyone's next note about what Marco says in the Garden of Eden?
Yeah, let's talk about them
Yes.
getting there first, I guess. So they bring the Hork-Bajirs to this nice peaceful place that Tobias saw in his visions from the Elemist, and they're probably safe there, just up in the mountains, this remote location. And then do they say they're gonna have a baby, or is that after?
I think it's I don't know. It doesn't matter. They say we're gonna make lots of little Hork-Bajir.
Yeah, the two Hork-Bajirs say
Oh, at
family
lunch.
time. And
Babies ever after.
the Animorphs keep saying, "Oh, this is so beautiful. It's like the Garden of Eden from the Bible. These are like Adam and Eve."
But Hork-Bajir.
Yes.
You know how Eve had 2 horns on her head and Adam had 3.
So yeah, they keep talking about the Garden of Eden and how that's kind of what it is. And then Moko says, well, let's just take our clothes off, Moko said briskly. You know the rules. In the Garden of Eden, you don't wear clothes. Rachel, you can start. That made me laugh out loud.
That made me laugh. It was just so ridiculous. I just had to. It was funny.
Did Rachel even reply to that? Or?
No.
I think Marco's the next one to talk. I think Marco just starts asking about the Hork-Bajir.
Everyone just completely ignored that.
I don't think they could say to that.
What are you gonna say to that?
I don't know, slap him?
Cassie runs over and pulls down Marco's pants real quick.
Cassie throws a snake down Marco's pants.
It says here, take them off. And you know Marco wouldn't be willing to be naked. He's not the kind of person who's gonna get naked.
But yeah, he always complains about their skin tight morphing costumes.
Yeah.
So
I don't think Marco likes being around people when he's bare.
So yeah, good old Moko.
Okay, I think the difference is like when Marco was asking about Hork-Bajir woman, like I was like, oh, he could be asking that genuinely, like he could be kind of joking, but like we know he's actually confused about that.
Yeah.
Whereas this, no, there's no way he can be serious, so that's why it's funny.
And it's in front of Tobias too, like.
yeah, man, jeez.
I think it's funny that Marco was like, yeah, Rachel's the sexiest.
I mean, even Jake says that.
I mean,
Jake's like, if she were my cousin, I would have slipped in there before that hawk boy got her. But
Tobias
I gotta
just,
settle for Cassie.
and Tobias just says, yes, she's very beautiful. And then that's it. He doesn't say she's the
Tobias is
prettiest
so
in the
classy.
group. Yeah.
He's so classy.
And then the next thing Marco says is, look, I have to know, how do you tell a male Hork-Bajir from the female? And then Jera Hamila just says, male, female, what meaning? And then Cassie's like, well, go ahead, Marco, ask. You want to know.
And then Ket Halpak, I'm just gonna go on. She says, Jerahami and Ket Halpak different. Jerahami have 3 here. She pointed at her horn blades. Ket have 2. That's the only difference, Marco asked. Other difference too, Ket Halpak said primly, but only for Hork-Bajir to know.
Yeah, I like that.
And then
Just
Axe
the closest
laughs.
thing. That was pretty weird.
Yeah.
Even Axe thinks that's funny. Guys, this is proof. Andalites of genitalia.
I mean,
at least
not,
they think
they
genitalia
just
are
have
funny.
secrets.
Maybe Andalites don't have
I feel like
genitalia,
if-
and they
if
just
I
think
was
it's
a-
really
if
funny
they
when other
didn't, I
species
don't think it
do.
would be
Yeah, they're
funny.
look at those
I would just
humans.
be
They
like,
have
oh, it's
penises.
just-
Look at their
vaginas.
floppy, stupid
Wow, so
genitalia.
floppy.
I bet Andalites have really, 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 really tiny penises, and they laugh at any creatures that have visible penises. 'Cause it's like,
No,
look at
that's
those
like the
stupid
ancient. That's like
floppy
the ancient
penises.
Greeks. They're
Yeah.
like big penises are funny
Well,
and
yeah,
stupid.
we
Small
compare- yeah.
penises are like classy and cool.
That's totally Andalites,
Yeah,
man.
Yeah.
We compare them to ancient Greeks.
And
in, like,
ancient
the
Greek
Megamos episode.
society is a lot like Andalite society.
Yeah, they have gay sex all the time.
Yeah.
Right? Be natural?
Yes, exactly.
I mean, they're on ships with. We haven't seen any women on the ships yet, so you
Yeah.
know.
What are you gonna do?
Why did Milka want to know the differences between the boys and girls so
I
badly?
mean, he's just really curious. He's just
'Cause
like.
he's gross.
He just really wanted them to say,
He wanted him
yes,
to say, yes, I have a
woman."
hooked with your penis. Look at it.
He wanted them to go like, woman hook but you cry at chick movies and wear makeup.
Yeah, you would have. Yeah, you would. Yeah, Jerahami's reaction to them asking if he had a yerk in him was to peel his own head open. So, if you asked what's the difference between male and female, I'd be a little afraid of what they're gonna do to show me.
Spreads his butthole.
Yeah.
Man, hook pictures are pretty cool. I'm glad we really delved deep into what they're like in this book.
Yeah, and really delve deep into their mind, literally.
I like this. I like Hork-Bajir now.
Yeah. I see them as less like salad tossers as I did. And they. Wait, this
Well,
book.
I never really thought of the Hork-Bajir as evil the way.
Well,
like,
no.
Like the book doesn't go as far to convince you that Hork-Bajir are evil.
No, they're
as it
good.
does for Taxon. So like,
Well, they always say like Axe has told us that Hork-Bajir, you know,
Used to be nice
used to be
people.
nice, but it's hard for me to tell because they're always trying to kill me.
I think they seem nice, but.
Why'd you call them salad tossers?
That's what Marco calls it.
Salad shooters?
Same thing.
Salad tossers is someone who
tossers.
licks someone's butthole, dude.
No, it's not.
What?
oh no.
Oops.
Is
I
that like
forgot
the
about that, but then you reminded
salad
me.
spinner? It's a plasterware product invented by Sue. You know Sue, inventor of the salad tosser. Olive wood,
Yeah,
two-piece
click on the first link that actually comes up when you go to Google, though.
salad tossers, Amazon.com. Look. Spiky spike. It's just like Hork-Bajir. I'm on Amazon.com salad tossers.
There you go. I'm pretty sure this.
Because Amazon.com won't sell you butthole lickers.
It's
At
against the
least
terms
not.
of service.
At least not on their public website.
I'm probably cutting all that out.
Yeah. Then what? Tobias goes human.
Hang on, we already talked about Tobias' dream thing, didn't we?
No.
No.
Elymas shows up and he's like, "Hey, Tobias, look at this." And then Tobias acquires himself from the past, and then he goes and he turns into a human. Yay!
He says he tells his past self to walk through the construction site, and his past self is
With
like,
Jake, he says, "Follow Jake home."
Yeah, he says. Yeah, that's what he says. He says, "Go home with Jake."
Jake, who you love.
Actually, I thought you would have more to say about this, Stir, because chapter 26, at least the beginning of it, is all like Tobias doing hot stuff.
I think at this point I was just reading fast, so I was excited for what's gonna happen next.
Can we talk about like the when the Elemist, he's like he acquires his human self, and then the Elemist is like, "Don't forget, 2 hours, Tobias." And then he says, "Have I kept my promise?" And Tobias says, "Yes." And he says, "Are you happy, Tobias?" And then it's just the next chapter.
Oh, he doesn't even say anything.
I thought that was cool. And then he
Oh my gosh, you're right, he doesn't answer.
well, I assume it's yes. I don't know.
Wow.
Maybe. Because Elymas said you.
It's complicated. Then Tobias looks away with a dark, brooding look, and he says, "It's complicated."
Well, in an earlier chapter, doesn't the Elymas say, "Yeah, I know what you want, but I don't know if it'll. But will it make you happy? Do you know if that you?"
But I know what you want. But do you know what you want?
Shut up, Tobias
And
is
then
happy.
Then Tobias is like, "Do I know that you know that I know what I
The
want?"
next book is about Tobias angsting about like how much he doesn't
And Tobias
actually
says,
like
"Do
being
you
a
know that
hawk
you
can
can suck
walk
my
away
bird
from you."
penis? Go away. I don't want your help."
Anyway, so
What? Okay.
when Tobias looks at himself, he says, when he's looking at his past self, he says, "I knew the truth now. I could see it clearly. I was looking at myself back when I was human, and looking at myself, I couldn't escape the truth. That wasn't me anymore. I wasn't Tobias the human. I had become something else, something new. What had the Alchemist said? You're a beginning. You're a point on which an entire timeline may turn."
So my belief now is that the only reason that... So remember when I told you, like, my alternative ideas for how the Andalite Chronicles should go? My idea was it would be cooler if the Alchemist did a really similar thing to Elfangor as he did to Tobias, where, like, Elfangor's a human Nothlit, and he walks up to Elfangor and he's like, "Elfangor, I'm going to give you a chance to not be a Nothlit anymore, and I'm going to take you back in time and show you your Andalite self from, like, some time ago, and have you acquire him." And it would be like, wow, that's very similar because they're father and son, get it? Because it does seem like the Alchemist cares about Elfangor, and specifically Elfangor and Elfangor's son. Like, that seems to be important to him.
Oh, yeah, you're right. So this is probably the same Alchemist then.
Yeah.
Oh, the same one that talked to Elfangor?
Yeah, probably.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
I saw the one that messed with the Kandrona.
Wow, so yeah, I didn't even think of that. It was like the same element. So this.
Well, I mean, it seems like they have an interest in Tobias and Elfangor. The Alchemist in Book 7 didn't even do any specific, like, reality-altering magic tricks like they did in Andalite Chronicles and this book.
Yeah.
So it's like they were like, okay, we can pull out our reality-altering magic tricks, but only for Tobias and his father.
So this little sleeping Tobias, the night of the Animorphs 1, he's sleeping. He wakes up. A hawk says, "Hey, follow Jake." He's like, okay, and then he goes to an alien, and alien's like, "Hey, go follow Jake. He's your family now." And then Tobias is like, okay, so now he's really like, man, I guess I gotta follow Jake.
Yeah.
Like, he's had two people in one night say, "Yo, follow Jake," completely unrelated.
Wait, who was the other person who said to follow Jake?
Elfangor said, Elfangor said, "This is your family now, stay with them."
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
It's crazy that Tobias, like, never mentions this. He's like, oh, and it was kind of weird that the night before, he's like, man, it sucks that I'm a Nothlit, but like, that stupid hawk had to come in the night before the thing, and then tell me that I had to walk home with Jake. If only that stupid hawk hadn't shown up.
Well, no, he said he forgot about the dream.
Yeah, he did, but it would be funny if, like, throughout the series, Tobias was always angsting about this
like,
stupid hawk that came into his room one night and told him to walk home. He's like, "Oh man, only that stupid hawk," and no one else knew what he was talking about.
But then
They're like, "Man, Tobias is just crazy, man. I like him, I guess, but he's just freaking crazy."
But then he does this and it doesn't click with him that it's him. He just thinks, man, that one hawk that came to my room one night.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, I wonder who that is.
Do you think it's unrealistic that he forgot about it?
No, I
No,
forgot
because-
about
Starting
it.
now, because if
It's
the
just like
Elfangor
he was
thing
half
and
awake.
the hawk thing, I think I would be a little weirded out.
He was half asleep, at least half asleep. He doesn't remember
Well,
this.
Tobias said you're dreaming, so he was like, okay, just a dream's not important. But I would follow Jake though.
It's just a subliminal message. He didn't, like, consciously think I better follow Jake because that hawk in my dream told me to.
I think he was gonna follow Jake anyway because it just happened.
Well, yeah, because he likes Jake. Jake's a cool guy. Jake's
He
a
loves
big giant.
Jake.
He does.
He does
He
love
does
Jake.
love Jake.
Making
So-
a
He
dumb
has a very
word joke.
Can we talk about Rachel's recital?
Let's talk about Rachel's recital.
Or
guys.
not a recital, her award ceremony that they've been
I
talking.
had this whole chapter highlighted too.
They've been talking about it throughout the book, but it wasn't annoying because they didn't angst about it and they were just like bringing it up here and there, and it
They
was like,
were?
yeah, it
I
was
was
just
really
like,
confused because they brought it up like twice, and I was like, so?
yeah, I thought I like when they're in they're right at, like, it's right after they just barely escaped getting eaten by the Taxons or whatever, and then Rachel's like, "Oh man, I'm so grounded," and Cassie's like, "But you're a Packard Foundation outstanding student who's grounded," and then everyone stops and claps for her, and then they go back to running away from the Horcrux or something.
Yeah, that was weird.
And then it just became an in-joke for them for
Yeah.
that day.
Yeah,
So the last chapter is like half a page.
but it's great.
Yeah.
Does someone want to just read the whole
that just
thing?
makes it even
Or...
greater.
What? Why?
The next day was Monday, the day when Rachel was to receive the Packard Foundation Outstanding Student Award. There were 4 other kids being honored too. They held the presentation in the school gym. Parents were there, all proud of their sons and daughters. Kids were there, having a good time, basically because the assembly got them out of last period. I missed the early part of the ceremony. I had to be careful, you see. I had to time everything just right. There is a 2-hour limit, as I know better than anyone. In that time, I had to walk from the edge of the woods to the school and leave plenty of time to get back. I was scared and nervous, sneaking into the back of the auditorium. A teacher frowned at me, like she knew me from somewhere but couldn't quite recall where. I hung back in the shadows. The ceiling bothered me. I don't like being where I can't see the sky. But I stood there as patiently as I could, watching the ceremony through dim human eyes and listening to the blah 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 through weak human ears. And only at the end, as the recipients filed out, did I step from the shadows. Rachel was last in line. She was beautiful, as always, and she had the usual Rachel swagger. I saw Cassie give her a wink as she walked by. Rachel rolled her eyes, self-mocking, and Cassie laughed. When she passed by where Marco was sitting, Marco made a phony bow. You know, like he was bowing before some idol. Rachel laughed and shook her head. And then she was right there in front of me. I saw her eyes sweep over me, indifferent, and then look past me toward the door. She stopped walking. She turned to me. Her eyes were wide. "Hi, Rachel," I said with a human voice.
And then Rachel beats the crap out of him because he's obviously like a yerk trick.
No, that's the end of the book.
That's the end of the book.
I like when it says that a teacher frowned at me, like she knew me from somewhere, but I couldn't quite recall
I was
where.
like, did the teachers just think that Tobias was freaking dead?
Well, no. Well, they're just like, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what did the teachers think of that?
He just wasn't that memorable.
Maybe they're just like, this
Nah,
freaking kid's been
nah.
skipping school for the last...
Yeah, and then she's like, hold on, I know this kid. Where is he? I've seen him before.
Yeah.
Well, and he was looking in the shadows, you know, it's like, why isn't he in the seat? Freaking...
And she's like, this person in the shadows, he looks familiar, but I feel like I couldn't have seen him recently. I would know him better.
You must have been in the freaking principal's office.
I also
not
like it when he
Marco's.
says, I don't like being where I can't see the sky. The ceiling bothered me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He's like, yeah, he's still hockey.
He's a hawk now.
So I said this series could end right here and I'd be happy.
Me too.
It's like
No,
this is like
I wouldn't.
no, okay, like it wouldn't be. It's like this is Tobias' story. It's like I would be cool.
Yeah, Tobias' story, which Tobias was like barely even in.
Well, okay,
Except at the
okay.
beginning and
With
end.
some editing, this could be like
Oh,
Tobias'
so you mean like
story.
get rid of all the alien invasion stuff and make it end here?
No, don't get rid of it. Just be like, this is
Just
the
wrap it
story.
up.
This is the no. Shut up. Let me talk. This is the story of Tobias.
This is a story all about how
Or if
my
this
life
were a-
got flipped turned upside down.
If this were a show, this would be a really good season finale.
I think
Oh,
that
okay.
Like this would be the first season.
This would be the end of the first season. Yeah, that'd be epic.
I think the fact that Tobias was like building the books made this ending even better because it's like, oh my gosh, Tobias is like turning human. He can turn human again, and he's like actually
it
gonna be
marks a
important
change
now.
because now Tobias will be able to do more.
They're not gonna have the Tobas and probably all gonna morph into cockroaches and die all at the same time because they don't have
the
the
next
always
book, they
talking.
all
That's true.
they all just
Right.
die.
The
I think the fact that so much time passed, they realized that that's not a good idea anymore.
Well, yeah, they've got that down now. and I'm really-
That was in like book 6. or
I'm really
whatever.
happy for them that they're not all morphing the same thing every time now. Like
Yeah.
in this book, they had Rachel and Tobias be the Hork-Bajir, and they had somebody else be the wolves, and somebody else a bird.
Well, Cassie was a wolf as always.
I started crying when I started reading chapter 27, 26. This is a good ending.
Wow. So that's why you made it your favorite one.
Yeah.
It's my favorite too.
What a
So
great-
like Elfangor is great and all, but he's not Tobias.
I'm sorry if that made things awkward.
I just didn't.
It didn't make things awkward at all.
I never imagined you crying.
The only one I almost cried at was book 2.
for
yeah, maybe.
Melissa.
Yeah. The last time I cried at a book was The Book Thief. I think it was the last time I cried at any media.
I don't remember the last time I cried at a book.
I cried
It
in
was
the-
really weird because I was watching JoJo and there's this part where I cut that out because I don't want people to know I watched JoJo's Bizarre
Oh,
Adventure.
see, now we all have a thing. We don't have a
But there's this part in season 2 where a beloved character dies, and like I was watching it with 3 other guys, and they were all like really, really close to tears, and I was like, yeah, this is pretty sad. But I was surprised because I'm usually the person who cries at media.
Yeah, but you don't care about anime, boys.
I guess I don't.
the
They're
closest
like,
I
how are
came-
you not crying? This is so sad.
The only movie
And
I thought
I felt proud because it means I was stronger than they are.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. A strong man admits his emotions, and
I was sad. I did say that out loud.
yeah, a strong man gives into his emotions and screams and kicks and is a little baby.
See, I'm strong because when I play Super Mario Brothers 3, I make puking noises.
yeah, instead of swearing.
And when Kirby gets hit, I yell ouch.
Did you make puking noises the first time you were here? Because I don't remember. I don't remember that. He was doing it since you walked through the door.
Guys, I think I might have dysentery.
Anyway, what were you saying?
The most emotional
Wait, start
things
over.
I've watched are
Well, some episodes of Doctor Who, honestly, and
Yeah.
Life is Beautiful, the World War
Yeah,
II
like
movie.
when Rachel when Rose and freaking David Tennant break
Yes,
up.
exactly
that
that
made me cry.
episode. Yeah.
I cried during the Hunger Games. I cried during
Hunger Games,
Othello.
really? Oh, I've only read 2 Hunger Games books.
Othello,
so-
isn't that?
I cried
Oh yes,
during
Othello too.
something-
Yes, Othello, Doctor Who, and Life
You
is
cried
Beautiful.
during Othello too?
Yeah.
Heck
What's
yeah,
Othello?
I cried during Othello.
The game?
No,
I cried during They're all white. You turned my pieces all white. They used to be black and now they're white. I'm gonna lose. Why can't they just be black again?
I love that game.
I cried during 1984.
I cried during. I cried while reading some piece of media recently, but I don't remember what it was.
I cried during
Invader
the...
Zim Enter the Fortress.
No.
Yeah, I think the last time I cried at something was The Book Thief.
I might have even cried during the Boy in the Striped Pajamas.
I mean, I had media specifically.
That's similar.
What have I watched, read, or listened to recently that would make me cry? Like, I haven't read anything other than Animorphs recently, I guess.
Yeah, me too. And I feel bad about that now.
I've started a new book, actually, recently.
I like that I'm reading Animals because this is like the only book I've read in like the last like.
Yeah, I wasn't,
3
like,
years.
reading books before this, either.
Yeah, so I'm glad I'm reading books now.
But, like, I guess I must have been something I watched.
I think I want to read something that's more intellectually stimulating, though.
The only other book I'm reading right now is the Book of Five Rings by Miyamoto Musashi, which is like 500 years old Japanese book.
I saw that book on your shelf.
Yeah,
You are
I should be reading
They
it
are
more.
making it easier for
Is
me
it
to
good?
remember my book.
It's just like a lot of like Zen stuff.
A movie, I guess it must have been a movie.
I think Animals is the most intellectually stimulating thing I've read in a while. I
It's
don't
definitely
imagine.
more intellectually stimulating than I expected it to be.
We also
Yeah.
have Stephen Hawking's entire history of the universe.
I'm not
whatever
going to
it's
read
called.
that.
It's not gonna
That's
make
not. That's
me
not
cry.
going to make me
I've read
cry.
parts I've tried to read that book from beginning to end, but it's better to just open up to a random page and read it.
My
Yeah.
dad
Like
says
Ripley's Believe It or Not kind of thing, but
Yeah.
with science.
my dad says that book is like really not for light reading at all.
It
No,
looks
it's
like
not,
it.
but I like it.
Hey, are we
There's a
done,
bunch of pretty pictures.
guys? Are we done talking about
Yeah, it
this
had a
book?
lot of cool like CGI.
Yeah, maybe we should stop.
like 90s CGI pictures that are like fun to look at.
Guys, are we done talking about this book?
What?
Yeah,
No.
okay.
What?
Othello's totally about this book.
I'm done. This was a good book. One of my favorites. So far.
I'd probably put this like in a tier with like the first book. That first book was one of my favorites.
What? This is second book too.
This is second? Huh? No, I don't. I think second book is still like number one. So maybe I shouldn't give it a star.
First
No,
book
but
was
it's
way worse
definitely
than
like,
this.
huh?
First book was way worse than this.
Oh, I like the first book.
I mean, it was good, but it wasn't this good.
Stir, you should probably get rid of your star then because the star means it's your new favorite.
No, it still gets a star because it.
No,
it,
Star
Star means it's your new
I
favorite.
I consider it as my new favorite. Definitely, like it was
But then
a,
it's
it was
okay,
a,
whatever,
whatever.
you're-
Book.
it was a
freaking-
strong consideration.
No, that's not what it means.
It was your visual reaction or whatever.
It was my initial reaction.
Just use a different star then or something.
I said
No.
visceral reaction accidentally.
My initial reaction was like, yeah, should be my favorite.
Okay, fine. Whatever, I don't care that much.
Like if you could only own one Animals book, you would be okay with this one being the one.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's
This
not
one's
what that
good.
star means at all, but okay. And I don't feel like arguing with the star about the emoticons.
If you had to pick one book
emojis.
out of all the Animorphs books to own,
This one might be my favorite.
I would only end like Chronicles just because like that has a lot of more entertainment value because it's a longer book.
I would pick probably this one or 2
That's
or
true, yeah.
5.
I'd pick either this one,
Well, what
Landlight
was five?
Chronicles, or 2.
That's the Mako book.
That's the one where they
What?
do.
Oh, the Marco book was good. I forgot about that.
Oh, did you guys see the flip book for the animal for Andalite Chronicles?
No, what happened in the Mako book again?
I don't know.
Which one?
The first one.
They
we
found out.
Register one.
Yeah.
They what? Oh, there's a one. Wait, what happened before that?
Nothing.
What do you mean? What happened? Before
They tried
what?
to get Axe back home.
Oh, you mean the plot of that book?
Okay, I don't think I care about the plot that much. I just really liked Mako's narration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This book was very good. It had like no flaws. And
Yeah.
I killed it.
Because
Yeah, except for that stupid redwood thing.
then is book 2 has some flaws, and I think Adelaide Chronicles just kind of long and
I know
boring.
that you love it so much, but just the first two thirds of it, I was just like, okay, whatever. I actually didn't like it for those 2 parts, so now I feel bad because you love it so much. But
I mean,
No,
the ending's good.
I wonder how much
I
we
mean, I
like
gave
book 2
book
if we
3
went
a
back
minute,
to it,
so-
because book 2 was like, so much different than book 1, where we were just like, whoa, this is really good, I
Yes.
wonder if coming back to it would be as good as we remember it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about book 3 actually.
I had so many problems with book 3. I liked a lot of it.
See, yeah, this book is better than book 3 because it didn't have this stupid.
They don't decide to jump up in the ship's splendor as fish all at the same time. So
No,
do we have
no.
more notes about this book? Or
Yeah, I have more notes.
Well, read them.
Well,
Okay.
come on.
My
one
last
time
note's just a happy crying emoticon.
My last note is the word shit in all caps.
Why?
No, what the shit.
Oh, why?
It was a happy what the shit.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yo, I hate you, Mustard. I'm sending you a text.
What did
Because
you note?
Look, man, it's a bookend because my first note was I hope Tobias changes, and guess what? Tobias changes, and it was the craziest crap.
Yeah,
ever.
he gets naked in the Garden of Eden, and he changes into different clothes. Wait, no, he changes to a human. That's right.
He can't change clothes if
Yes.
he's a hawk.
Oh, I have a question. So does he morph his watch? Because he wears a watch as a hawk.
Well, I assume that's only in that book.
What? No, I assumed it was always. So he can. Oh, I guess they've axed now.
I'm wondering. I'm surprised. Hold up. How did Tobias get clothes for his human morph?
He went to Rachel's house and stole some.
Yeah, he showed up in her clothes.
That's why
Rachel couldn't have consensually given him clothes because
Yeah,
she didn't know.
It needed to be a surprise.
Tobias can open drawers. He can like pick up her dirty clothes off the
Guys,
floor.
why would Tobias steal Rachel's clothes? That sounds evil.
Hang on, does this mean we're gonna get more like freaking naked children in the future books now that Tobias is gonna be like morphing out a hawk morph?
I
Yeah,
assume
you're
he can.
right.
I assume
No,
no.
He's
they'll
gonna get a
just
he's gonna get a
just-
hawk morph suit.
Jake and Rachel will just. Jake and Tobias will just get him some. I mean,
Yeah, but there's gonna be
Jake
scenes.
and Marco will get him some boy clothes.
No, this means that there's gonna be more scenes. It's like, okay, everyone turn around. Tobias has to put his clothes on.
Yeah,
because
No.
he can't. He has no morph.
He
suit
doesn't
because
have a
he's
morph
hawk.
suit as
No,
a
he
hawk.
does. Axe has a morph suit.
Does he?
Yes.
Oh.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember,
Yes.
like when Axe is morphing a human, they're like, Axe morph. Make sure to remember the clothes.
Oh, that's weird. Okay, so that answers that.
Okay, I
Wait,
guess.
so human morphs can morph into clothing,
You can
but
just.
not out of it?
You can just what? Not out of it.
No, and
Yeah, how
out
does
of
he
it.
morph into clothing if that's not like his original?
Because he's not wearing clothes as an Andalite.
Well, he can
That
like.
seems weird.
He just puts the clothes on as a human, and he morphs to Andalite, and then the clothes.
So then
stay
every
and-
time he morphs, that's not DNA.
Oh well. Be natural. Does
It's
Spy
just-
still wear a watch at this
Guys,
point?
I don't know.
They never explain how clothes freaking turn into
Yeah.
animal fur and stuff. So I figure if this isn't explained either, it's not a big deal.
So they haven't mentioned the watch since the one book it was in. I think it was just.
I
for
just
that
assumed
book.
he was wearing a watch the whole time.
He can't morph. Did you just?
No, when he lost his
acquired
morph.
the morph.
No, as a hawk.
Yeah,
He's
no,
been running
like,
around with a
as
watch
Hawk
on
Boy,
the
I
whole
assumed he's had
time.
a watch the whole
No,
time.
because they have axe.
Well, they didn't say he got rid of the watch though.
They haven't mentioned it at all.
No,
yeah, it's a temporary
in the
forgot about
message, Tobias gives the other guys the watch before he flies away,
He does? Okay, I didn't remember that
so
at
that
all.
they can time it when they turn into dolphins.
You thought Tobias had a watch on for like the past 12
Yes,
books?
I thought for the past 12 books Tobias was wearing a watch.
Once
It was
they
his
got
hot watch.
once they got
That's
Axe
silly.
with them, they don't need that.
Well, yeah, but they didn't say they got rid of it, so I was confused. I was like, okay, I guess he has a watch and so does that.
He gets rid of it in the message. I just said so.
I know you said so, but I didn't know that before. Now I know it, and I'm glad.
I want to finish this episode. We've been recording for 3 hours.
Hello, this is the outro of the podcast. Thank you for watching. Time to introduce ourselves.
Wait, are we done?
Be natural, you start.
I thought you said you had more notes, Stu.
No, I don't have any more notes. I said my note. It was
We're
about Tobias
done.
wearing a watch.
That was your note?
I thought he's wearing a watch for 12 episodes. That was my note.
I'm be natural.
I'm better.
Cougar Bing. He had to leave.
Cougar
but,
Bing had a third puberty, and he's a hawk again now. Oops.
Cougar Bing hasn't been here for a while, but he's here to say goodbye, right, Cougar Bing?
Oh, hey, goodbye. This is Cooper signing off. Yeah, bye. What?
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Okay, good. Your turn.
I'm mustard. Goodbye.
I'm Stir. I forgot we said goodbye after we said the names. Joke time!
Joke time.
Yay!
Jokes.
Joke, joke, joke.
Joke, 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 joke. Yeah, joke.
Man, what a good joke.
My parents are trying to sleep.
How did the mouse do on her test?
She failed.
She
She cheesed it. She
Oh,
just
yeah,
squeaky. Hold on. What are mice known for? They're known for
she's,
pooping in your food.
she was really small.
She spread the plague. She got caught in a trap and died.
It's related to the word squeak.
Squeak.
She just squeaked by.
She just squeaked by.
Yes.
Tobias is a
Dude, I
bird.
freaking love cheese, dude.
I like it too.
Top 5 cheese. Go.
Top 5 cheese.
Freaking
mozzarella's
Swiss.
decent.
Number
Swiss
1,
is pretty
Swiss.
good. Swiss is good. Yeah, I like Swiss.
Number 2, mozzarella.
Mozzarella's
Number 3,
yeah, that's a good
Kobe
second
Jack.
place one.
I
Yep,
actually
yeah.
slept on. Number 4, just normal cheddar. And number 5, provolone.
Normal cheddar.
I might put provolone above cheddar, but cheddar
Yeah,
is like
screw
iconic.
that sharp cheddar. Sharp
No,
cheddar
don't
sucks.
Don't water my laptop, please.
Sharp cheddar is
Uh,
the bomb diggity. What are you talking
Pretty
about?
big. I think actually pretty good. I might just agree with that list completely.
Keep your water on
Actually,
that side.
I hate sharp cheddar.
because I said maybe cheddar's below, but I've changed my mind suddenly. I think cheddar goes above provolone.